Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Monday night. Tonight, it's the ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series for Season 6 playoff racing action. Last week was the start of the round of 16. Tonight, we cut it down to just 12 drivers, moving on into the playoffs for the Bristol Thunder 200 presented by Lariat Productions. This racetrack has been a moment of cutoff races in the past and has brought out some of the best drama at past playoff races. We're excited to give you all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Zach Hall. And Zach, a little bit of a shorter pre-show than what we usually do, but Bristol going to be a fun race for us to watch here tonight.
It's going to be for sure fun for us, I think, Sam. I think the drivers are going to have their hands full, though, with how tough this track is going to be. So it's going to be an interesting one once we get this green flag drop.
Drivers have already finished up practice and qualifying. They're now into their 5-minute warm-up period where they can figure out where their pit stalls are going to be for the race, as well as getting some last-minute practice time. Also, it gives us some time to look at where the point standings are at, because coming into this evening, we've got a lot of drivers that are hunting for a chance to move on to the next round, some outside of a great points day, while others are pretty solidified. Those drivers that are solidified, Vincent Sora, Danny Cochran, and Justin Campbell, those three drivers are pretty much locked in. Justin Campbell's locked in based off his win last week at Atlanta, so he's automatically locked into the round of 12. Vincent Sora, Danny Cochran, based off of points, just starting tonight's race, they should be locked into the next round. There are a few other drivers, Cody Reed, Nick Crawford, and Christopher Norris, to be 3rd, 5th, and 6th in points. Those drivers are going to be in a spot where if they find themselves getting good points, they also could be locked into the next round of the playoffs. But it's down at that cutoff line. GT Rosari, Aaron Kralik, Ollie Fonseca, and Dakota Moniz. That's really where the point is at, Zach, of who's in or going to be out.
That's exactly right. I think you could throw Joshua Freed right there with him, too, because he's about a point back there from Moniz. So really that group from, Irizarry down, really, even Kanata down, is very, very close in points. And even Cedric Hunter, John Forbes, they have some issues. I think they could fall into trouble too. So it's going to be a tricky night, especially with the track we have. These drivers have their hands full after a couple laps. These trucks really not handling well. So points could be severely shooken up after this one, Sam.
And if you're outside of the top 17, you're still running for something. Those are the best of the rest drivers, currently being led by Ethan Smith and Tyler Dangler right behind him. If you are the winner of the best of the rest, finishing 17th in points at the end of the playoffs, you find yourself with $40 extra in your pocket. As the rest of the field, though, getting prepared as we take a look at our rest of the schedule, because we're running down to the end of this season. And this field has been seeing some great racing action. Last week, Atlanta got to see Justin Campbell finally grasp his first win in this series, in the ISRC Truck Series, and also locked himself into the next round, which next round doesn't get any easier. We got ourselves at Kansas and the Roval, which the Roval's been interesting. The field don't even know what setup they're going to be running just yet because of the unknown of what the Roval's going to bring.
Exactly right, Sam. That's definitely going to be the unknown for that round heading into it, is the Roval. In Kansas, I think it's just going to be a classical mile-and-a-half great, ISRC race. So definitely excited for that one. That next round is going to be critical, but it all is about tonight getting through.
Getting through tonight, 200 laps in total for this evening's race here at Bristol. There will be a stage break at the end of lap 50, unless there's a caution between lap 45 and 50, with no fast repairs of Fortress that's tires. So the field knows this is going to be a critical time for the field. We've got some pick'ems. Who do we think could be possible contenders to win here tonight? I know for myself, I've got a pretty easy pick. I think I'm going with, based off of the last season when they ran here, a driver that led the most laps. My pick for tonight's win, I'm going to be picking Ollie Fonseca in the 24. He's been fast out there during practice. I think Ollie could be a secret threat to watch out for here tonight.
Love that pick, Sam. Definitely, I'd say on the underdog side of things for that race win, but definitely I think a driver that, I mean, showing after qualifying is going to be a threat. But I think the driver I'm going to pick is going to have to be the 13, or sorry, the 7 of Cedric Hunter. Is I think he's just very good at this concrete short track, and he's very close to that line. He's going to need a good night to try to move him on and get some momentum rolling.
And our producer, Robert Moyer Jr., also always having to pick him, and he's going to go with Nick Crawford. Not a bad pick at all. Crawford has won at this race back in season 3, and is a driver that is very good at the short tracks, consistently up front. We can see if Nick Crawford can be one of those secret drivers to watch out for. Those are our 3 pick'ems for tonight. Who could be the one to steal it, or could be someone that we haven't even decided on? I think there's a lot of real decisions of who can steal this win, especially with the driver that's won 3 times here at Bristol, being Mark Whitley, no longer running in this league. It's kind of left this window wide open on who's the favorite to win here tonight.
That's exactly right. Mark Whitley had a stranglehold on that, stat there for sure of this track, and we'll see who can, take control of that night. I mean, this race is going to be a very interesting one, folks. I think you're going to have to stay with us for all 200 laps because from lap 1 to 200, it's going to be an ever-changing leaderboard.
The drivers have been noting on tonight can be very tricky. The first handful of laps going to have the most grip on these tires. Then after that, it just gets slicker and slicker. And we'll see if we can even get some long green flag racing, because the field thinks there's a chance we may have the most cautions ever in the history of the ISRC Layer Up Productions Truck Series. But others are hoping maybe we could steer away from that historic moment here tonight. But it's the last race of the round of 16. Who's moving on to the round of 12? Well, here's how the drivers are going to be starting out here tonight. Your starting grid from Hot Lap Threads. Your Hot Lap Threads, if you'd like to go get yourself some racing lifestyle t-shirts, hoodies, hats, and more, go on over to hotlapthreads.com to check out their wide free of selections from great Hot Lap Threads. Taking the pole award, also the fastest driver from practice, it's Ollie Fonseca in the 24. He's in a very good position to start out here tonight. He's outside the points, but taking the pole is a great position. Our season 1 champ, it's going to be Vincent Sora in the 15. He'll start in 2nd. Joshua Kanata in 3rd. Cody Reed going to be starting in 4th position. 5th, we find John Forbes. Nick Crawford down in 6th position with Mason Cassidy in 7th. 8th is the 7 machine of Cedric Hunter. 9th is Malay Kuntz, and Samuel Garcia finishing out the top 10.
In the 11th starting position, it's going to be the 99 of Ethan Smith. Alongside him is last week's winner, Justin Campbell, in the 9 machine. 13th is going to be the 6 of Justin Smith, with 14th in qualifying going to the 38 of Christopher Norris. Thomas Green will be in the 15th position with GT Arzari around that cut line there, starting 16th. 17th is going to be Aaron Kralik, the driver, like I said, on the cut line there. He'll be very much fighting tonight from that 17th position. 18th is going to be Dakota Moniz, along with them fighting for his playoffs. 19th, tough start for Danny Cochran back here. And starting in 20th around our top 20 is Jared Talmadge.
And 21st, we find the 20 machine of Jesse Thornock, and then in 22nd place, we find the 91 of Mark Morales Jr. Tyler Dangler will start all the way down in 23rd place. Ryan Ferraro all the way down in 24th, and finishing out our 25 drivers, it's Tyler Horn in the 26th machine. A few drivers going to have to start at the end of the line due to penalties after last week. One of those going to be Tyler Horn, so he's kind of just started where he's at, and a few other drivers waiting to see if they're going to be penalized or not for tonight's race. But tonight, 200 laps in total. Zach, we noted on the fact that this is going to be a very important race, but I also brought up just slightly, this track's going to be difficult. What exactly are these drivers dealing with this evening?
It's very interesting, Sam, because, coming in here, usually this Bristol Motor Speedway track, this concrete surface, lately has been known to tear up the right front tire and really make the trucks tight. And what that means, folks, is not want to turn. They get down in the corner, the car pushes up to the wall. But here tonight, what they're mostly going to deal with is the rear ends of these trucks kicking out. The trucks are going to want to turn too much. They're going to be pointing to the inside of that racetrack as those rear tires just overheat and get overworked around this concrete surface. I don't know if it's a combination of the weather that we have here, a little bit of a, higher humidity race here, very cold temperatures. I don't know if that's playing the effect of what's going on, but a lot of drivers have been very, mind blown by what has gone on so far in this practice session. So really this race is open for anybody right now, Sam. I really don't know what to expect.
Bristol's a track where you don't want to be too patient because usually drivers around you being too aggressive at times. You get that counteractive collisions happening with one another. But this evening, you want to make sure you're up front, get out of the danger as quickly as possible because we are ready for tonight's race. It's the Bristol Thunder 200. Taking the outside, Ollie Fonseca, Vincent Sora on the inside, and that changeup of giving the inside lane, it gives Vincent Sora the lead, but Ollie Fonseca trying to rally back, but it's not gonna work. Vincent Sora qualifies second, he'll lead lap number 1.
That's very odd to see there, Fonseca. I think he thought that outside would fire off a little bit better since it's been the fastest line around the racetrack. But here right now, this bottom looking very much better, as you're going to see that third car of Cody Reed there in that third in line. He's going to be working the top group, but now Fonseca's going to cover up that 25 with the 24.
Trying to cover off, and Cody Reed puts down the fastest lap of the day. Now going to be shoveling his way down on the inside groove, almost giving contact to the 24 of Ollie Fonseca. And across the line, still Sora leading the way as lap number 3 goes in the favor of the 15. But now we're seeing our top 5 all within one another, and slight bumps given all around. This is kind of the racing action I wasn't expecting here early on. Ooh. But Ollie Fonseca, Vincent Sora, contact for the leaders, and our first caution of the day is right in front of the field.
Oh no, that right there is going to be heavily disputed between those two drivers, but I think Vincent Sora going to be all right as he's actually able to get that truck spun around and back going. But Fonseca and Sora coming the blows on the front straightaway heading into 1.
As the drivers both feeling very different about how that contact went down between the 24 and the 15. As there's really pressure went off the exit of the corner. As we see here, Ollie Fonseca is going to be taking the outside groove. Vincent Sora trying to give space and just clips one another off the exit of the corner.
And actually, I think looking at it too, Sam, a little bit of net code where I think they still would have made the contact most likely, but net code was the initial hit, and it caused that 15 to come across the nose of that 24, and from there is just such a tough break. And I think we're gonna get a little bit closer look here from a farther shot down. I think this is from the lap before, but definitely a situation I think both drivers are going to be questioning. What are you doing?
Over the radio right now, Vincent Sora, as you see there's the net code. Never truly made contact until after the invisible bumper spins the 15 around. But Vincent Sora frustrated over the radio on the fact that he feels like he gave plenty of room going low enough to Ollie Fonseca to go up to the wall, while Ollie, he was trying to keep himself off the wall and might have came down a little bit, but ultimately that code was the situation there. A little bit of a racing incident, but that's exactly what Bristol brings, Zach. Those are the type of moments that you see, and now it forces Vincent Sora all the way to the end of the line.
That it does. We'll see how his rebound of a night is going to start here for himself, because we know he's got speed. Vince Sora's shown it in the past here, even battling the likes of Mark Whitley, but it's going to be a tough time starting out back. People are going to have trouble, and right now it's just going to be putting your head down and slowly trying to make up some ground, because we've seen from practice, you push a little bit too hard, you try to go get too much, this truck will bite you, and you could end up ending your night very quickly.
Very quickly indeed, as Cody Reed will be the leader after the fiasco between Ollie Fonseca and Vincent Sora. 25 opting to take the outside lane here. And Ollie Fonseca over the radio saying, I hope this goes better for you than it did for me, as we saw Vincent Sora take off immediately on the inside groove. Cody Reed's going to need a great launch. Going to have to take off really early here and hope that Ollie Fonseca doesn't figure out the timing. Otherwise, the 24 could be taking that spot on back. As tonight's race, again, the last race of the round of 16. If you're just joining us, it's the Bristol Thunder 200, presented by Larry R Productions. As this race, we'll see who can move on and progress through the playoffs, or who will be done for Season 6 for going for a championship. Pace cars pulling off. First caution is done. We are green, and Cody Reed gets the launch that he needed, and he's going to be pulling along Nick Crawford with them on the outside, as second place will be side by side off of 2.
Just showing you that if you can control that restart like you can on the initial start, you can't, where you have to start on the green flag, that outside line, with the ability to launch where you want in that zone of the Geico restart zone, ability is able to jump out to the front. But Reed now got his teammate of Nick Crawford there side by side with Fonseca, who's now coming back on the bottom side here. This track's showing a lot of raceability.
Fight your way forward, march on the outside. These runs that these drivers are getting off the outside groove are massive for one another. But everyone else searching. Is the outside groove really worth it, though, is going to be the big question as these laps progress. He's talking about the tire wear. How is this going to influence these drivers as each lap passes? It's going to get looser and looser, and a lot of that slipping and sliding, Zach, could be hurting these drivers if they're not careful with the exit of the corner.
You're exactly right. It's an abrupt, really feeling too. I talked to about 4 or 5 drivers tonight so far during the practice session, and every single one said the same thing. Lap 15, the truck really starts to handle bad. And, we're lap 14 right now. Yes, we've had some caution laps in between there, but that's only going to make this cycle of tires just that much more interesting. I think when we get to around 20, that's really where we're going to start to see those rear ends start to really start to show up.
As Justin Campbell, Malik Coates spins right in front of him. The 98 holds on. He'll point it straight, moves back up into the field to go 3 wide, pinching as they have to go 3 wide again. And oh no, collisions! Multiple drivers slide, and they're gonna hold it together somehow. But they're sideways enough that we have to throw the yellow.
Oh man, like you said, they all gathered it up, but they were too sideways there to not keep the yellow from coming out. But it all started with that 98 and Malik Coates. He was coming off a 4. And he dirt tracked it completely out of 4. I'm sure that really didn't help the tires. And you're going to see what the aftermath of that is here heading down. Here's where he starts to get loose coming through the center of 3 and 4. And when you get loose like this, folks, you really overheat the tires. And once you overheat them, it is so tough to bring that tire temperature back down. And that's something these drivers are going to struggle with all night. Just getting that little bit free. You cannot overstep it. And look, continues to get worse. Gets loose there coming out of 4. Comes up the racetrack, like you said, Sam. There's Crail got to check way up, and that was what really caused the issue with him. Yeah.
Clips Garcia, and that's what gets both those drivers loose and out of control. And luckily, no one else really ran over those drivers. Instead, they're going to slide and some decision time into pit road as Vincent Sorso going to try to get repairs done. The 15's back into pit road. Also Malik Coates, Danny Cochran, and Samuel Garcia going to be pulling it into pit road to get service done. But we are 18 laps in the books of 200, but we do have a stage break at the end of lap 50 as we take a look at our weather conditions for the field. I talked about how the humidity is high at 93% this evening, but air temp is at 68. Track temp's a very cool 71 Fahrenheit. The wind is blowing, though. It dropped down to 8 miles per hour. It's now back up to almost 12. And that very aggressive change, luckily they're in a bowl here at the last great Coliseum of Bristol, but that wind also isn't helping very much, though, with drivers if they get that swirling action in the bowl action that they're dealing with.
That's exactly right. Yeah, those winds a little bit negated due to those grandstands and, like you said, being in a bowl, but still going to have somewhat of an effect down here. Definitely lose race trucks. So I think that this cool weather has brought the speed up. It's really wearing the tires out, overheating them, and that's what these drivers are having to deal with. So we've seen a few hit pit road. I think a lot of drivers just trying their best to get their trucks fixed up after that latest wreck. I believe Danny Cochran came down, got some repairs done, but we'll see how those drivers recover. Luckily for Cochran's sake and Sora's sake, those two so good on points that they are looking very well off.
Yeah, for Danny Cochran, practically just by starting tonight's race, he was practically locked in. Still needs to have a decent finish for himself. The amount of drivers that showed up in bonus points are still allowed, but here tonight, we are back to green flag racing, and you can see how clogged up it gets trying to launch as we were riding on board with Cedric Hunter there, and it just clogged up the whole entire field. No one took off until the very last moment, and it hurts some, succeeds for others as the battle for third is underway. It's Thomas Green, Cedric Hunter, but they're looking like they want to wreck already entering turn 1.
That they do. They're all jumping up to the top 2 and rolling around the top of the 7, who almost makes contact to the quarter panel of that 24, but now we'll have last week's winner, Justin Campbell, go around the outside of the 7 of Cedric Hunter here as Hunter's going to slot back into 6th, but it looks like a lot of the drivers that up ahead, they got a different agenda, Sam. They look like they want to fight for the lead because they know caution after caution is going to happen, so they want to keep that track position.
as well as us closing in closer and closer to the end of this stage. Those bonus points can be very crucial for some. All defense taken the 24, one of the bigger drivers that need massive points for himself, as well was the 17 of Mason Cassidy, who was trying to make his way forward. Right now, outside of the top 10 for the 17 as he's challenging with Christopher Norris. You see there the yellow and the red, but trouble, driver incident in the wall and in the back. Mark Morales spins to bring out the yellow as Thomas Green got in the outside wall.
Like you said, Thomas Green was in that outside wall, but it was Martin Morales who, off of 4, just seeming like a very difficult spot to come off the corner right now for a lot of guys, and just a nice solo spin. As I think it'll be this next time around. This 91 is just gonna do what we're gonna see, I think, a lot of tonight, and what we say is a self spin. Just really these trucks really over rotating here, and you see he's gonna come off the exit of the corner and just nothing he can do. Steps out sideways. And he's just going to try to gather it up, and luckily he keeps it out of that inside wall.
And another driver that was spun almost at the exact same time as the 91 machine, Justin Smith in the 6 machine. He also found himself being spun around at that moment, and he was able to stay off the wall on the backstretch, but the 6 having his own woes and a few other drivers. This just feels like, Zach, we see one driver slip up on camera, and there's about 2 to 3 sometimes maybe even 4 others that are looking just as sideways, some maybe not as aggressively, but it's looking dangerous, not just for one driver or just, you know, the back half of the field or the top half of the field. It's everyone that's dealing with these issues right now.
Completely agree with you. I mean, it's not out there affecting only the fast drivers, only the slower drivers. It's affecting everybody. So it is really put these drivers in a weird position, I think, because you know, they have playoffs on the line here. They know what is at stake, and you got to go out here and race a very smart race. But also, like you said, we're closing in on a lap 50 stage here, so you got to go try to get points. There's just so many options to weigh while you're inside of this truck right now, and I can tell you, it's a lot easier to be up at the booth than be down there.
Very much so. I agree with that, as some drivers coming into pit road to get more damage repair going to be Samuel Garcia and Danny Cochran back into pit road to get service done. Cody Reed still going to be the lead driver up front, with Joshua Kanata and Ollie Fonseca going to be in third, as Martin Morales Jr. expected to stay 1 lap down after being caught by the pace car and leaders after his spin. As the drivers up front get prepared for this launch, I want to say thank you to the sponsors that help out here at the ISRC. Larry Art Productions Truck Series, a title sponsor of Larry Art Productions himself, has been around since the beginning seasons of this league. First was just sponsoring races, then moved to sponsoring cars, now the lead sponsor of the ISRC Truck Series. Larry Art Productions is a great place to get your laughs. Head on over to YouTube or Instagram to check out the Comedy Variety YouTube channel that can give you great laughs and entertainment to get yourself through the day. Also, I want to say thank you to Hot Lap Threads. Like I said earlier, they're a qualifying grid sponsor. Go check out at hotlapthreads.com to see their quality outfits. We'll talk about our last sponsor when we get to our stage break, because we're about to get back to green flag racing action. Cody Reed ready to take the green with Kanata to his inside. But Thomas Green on that outside group, he is looking quick. That 00. Watch out for this next restart. He could be someone that could really take a huge chunk of speed and try to go after Cody Reed here as the field gets prepared. Off of exit turn number 4, pace car takes that hard left-hander to pit road, and we are ready to go back to green flag racing for the Bristol Thunder 200 presented by Larry Art Productions. We are green, inside road, and it go. Nor did really the outside. It's only Cody Reed that's going to have over a 1.5, almost 2 truck length lead over Kanata, but Kanata takes it all back off the exit 2.
A little bit of sleep there for the 00. Thomas Green just could not get that truck going, but he's going to slide in up on the top side now. Going to be battling for third with the 24 of Ali Fonseca, but now Kanata up the second. He's going to look maybe to challenge Reed.
Joshua Kanata, a win would be a huge surprise for himself. A driver that's always been a threat inside of the top 5. It feels like every track we go to, Here tonight, though, watching the aggressive racing in his mirror, it's Ollie Fonseca, Thomas Green. They'll be side by side with one another. Let's take that back. Late dive bomb move by the 7 of Cedric Hunter. He's not able to make the clearance. He'll be stuck on the inside. Watch out as that outside row tries to motor their way forward. But here's another yellow. It's Tyler Horn with a spin off the exit of 4.
Just like that, another yellow. And I think that's why you're seeing moves being made like that, guys, because they know, hey, if I can dive to the inside and just get a nose ahead through the center of the corner, then the caution comes up. I'm in that spot. So now Cedric Hunter up to 4th, but see what happened here. The horn is loose once again. That is just the syndrome we've seen all night. Down in the 1 and 2 now. I think this truck's going to step out once again for him down here in 3 and 4.
So you got Sam Garcia right behind this yellow 26 machine, and not even before he gets to the center of the corner, he's losing it. Overcorrects almost into Danny Cochran in the 2 machine, and it's slammed by the 6 of Justin Smith. And in a blink of an eye, we are under another caution break on lap 35 here tonight. And Zach, it's looking like you have to be up front with that 45 to lap 50 window, because that late caution could end this stage prematurely than what some drivers are used to, as we take a right on board with Justin Smith here, as he had his slide. This was earlier in the race when he had this slide for himself, but a little bit of a scare as he was just trying to survive through these runs until he saw a wild 26 right in front of him.
Yeah, he did. And, you know, from what I've been really examining a lot of these incidents, you know, a lot of times when you deal with rear tires stepping out, so there you see the hit from Smith to Horn as he tried to get by that incident. The thing about it is a lot of people think about the exit of the corners, managing how much throttle application you're applying to that gas pedal to not, you know, spin those rear tires up off the corner. But I think a lot of where these guys need to focus really that tire wear is on the entry of these corners. These high bank corners, so high in speed on the entry, I think that's really where a lot of guys are hurting the rear ends.
Yeah, it's hurting them quite a bit, as we're keeping it pretty equal between green flag laps and caution laps right now. 4 cautions already in the book before we even get to lap 40. And this was a concern for the field. They were worried about the fact that we could be seeing a high level of cautions with the way that this truck is reacting to this track here tonight. You know, I know the field doesn't want to hear these stats, but it was something that was brought up of, hey, we could try to go for the record on accident here tonight of the most wrecks and cautions ever thrown in the ISRC Truck Series. The most ever was back in season 1 at the Milwaukee Mile, had a total of 20 cautions. And then back in this season, the most this season was 13. I think a lot of the field is concerned with the way that these first 40 laps have ran so far.
You know, you got to feel for them. You know, when you're a driver in the seat like this, you're just sitting there going, you know, it gets tough. That is the one thing I think gets kind of thrown out of the window is it's hard to make a decision as a driver to, do you want to, you know, go full out and try to risk it to gain spots, knowing that cautions are right around the corner? Or do you, you know, play a little safe and have something in the bag just in case we do go for a longer run? So it's tough to weigh those options when you're driving in the driver's seat. But I think each and every one of these cautions that click by, and the more frequent they become, I think more and more drivers are going to get more aggressive. And I think those cautions in that uptick only goes higher.
Well, I mean, the strategy calls here tonight are going to be pretty wild, because you have some that have already made their pit stops because of damage. Maybe they took tires and they're not aiming maybe for some to pit at our stage break. While other drivers I've heard may not even try to pit at all this race if we have enough caution. So there could be a lot of different strategy calls here this evening. The one thing we do know is Cody Reed is the lead driver, as he did not go immediately. Takes it a late start. It checks up most of the field. Allows Joshua Kanata to stay to the inside of this 25. And Kanata has a nose ahead off the exit of turn 2. He'll try to clear himself down in turn number 3 as the rest of the field 2 by 2 all the way through. And Joshua Kanata won't lead that lap, but almost had a chance.
Kanata seeing opportunities open up for him, and he wants to take that available to him, but he squeezes up in front of the 7, and just as he does that, Forbes is going to shoot it down low on the 7 of Cedric Hunter, and man, oh man, I think Cedric Hunter cut in the 16 to brake because there could have been contact there.
There were about 5 other drivers trying to cut each other off, but another caution will fly, and it's Tyler Horn once again in the 26 machine. Almost identical to what he had happen earlier. Spin through 3 and 4. And it concludes with him being stopped on the inside wall off of 4.
This is going to be tough right here for Tyler Horn as he's going to go into the corner. And it's just, again, even that corner right there without spinning out, I can just see it. He's going into the corner, just the rear end, over rotating. And again, right there, left front lower, left rear higher up the racetrack. That car just a little skewed on entry. And I think that's where a lot of these guys are overheating and getting sideways like that. And oh, Horner was trying to get that thing spun around quickly, almost quickly threw himself in the inside wall.
You can tell kind of that frustration of trying to just circle and spin that thing back around. Not going to be the case just yet. And this puts the field in that awkward state. Because the caution came out before lap 45, they will have a shootout. This is going to be most likely a 2 to 3 lap shootout. So if you're going to pit before the stage, this is the last time to do it, because this could count as the last restart before we get that stage yellow. And that's where we're seeing a mass entry of drivers into pit road. And these are the drivers expected to stay out once the stage yellow comes out under our next yellow in the next handful of laps.
And not surprised by some of these people I see coming down too, because it's a lot of drivers that the risk level and the importance of stage points is not as high. I look at the likes of Nick Crawford, some of these drivers farther back, such as Vincent Soar, Danny Cochran. They're going to be looking to come down, get their cars satisfied and trucks done. So when we do get that stage break, they're going to hope others come down. But I think, like you said, Sam, if I'm Cody Reed, Joshua Kanata, if we get another quick yellow, I'm just continuing to stay out.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason to pit at the stage. You could stay out maybe until halfway through this race and then make that decision of, have we ran enough even green flag laps to worry about my tires? Because we've had this, run a couple laps, cool down cycle that has kind of enabled some of these drivers to continue to stay out. The only thing you might be worrying could be fuel, but looking at the drivers that were in a position where maybe they needed points for themselves of stage points, Aaron Kralik coming into pit road, Dakota Moniz pitting. Those are some odd decisions for those drivers to make this pit stop when, if they had just stayed out, they could have been in the grasp of a handful of bonus points at our stage break. Instead, they're taking the long game approach, and that's a risky gamble right now with some of those other drivers that will be getting stage points as long as they don't get caught up in a wreck here up front.
I gotta agree with you, Sam. I think that was a missed opportunity for those drivers. So we'll see how it shakes out for them now as we're going to go back green.
Pace car going to make the hard left-hander pit road, and we are back to green flag racing. This is the final restart of the stage. Who will be inside of the top 10 to get bonus points? Let's find out as Cody Reed takes the huge launch for the 25 machine. Cedric Hunter going to be rolling on the top. Joshua Kanata keeping it equal with the 7 as they exit out of the corner. It's going to be just a battle between these 3 drivers. Justin Campbell could force the issue, same for John Ford, but it's all Cody Reed for now.
Any caution at this point would end the stage, but we stay green right now. Cedric Hunter with a big run down the back straightaway. He's looking possibly to clear that 16 of Kanata. If he does, I imagine that 7's going to dart to the inside, but we stay double file for third on back.
Top 10 drivers all in this top group. That yellow machine in the back, that's Mason Cassidy. That is the 10th place position driver as we're coming out of turn number 4. This will conclude the stage as they cross the line on the white flag of our stage currently. And next time they cross the line, it will be the end of the stage as the drivers battling for every position. Hunter dives it down low. Cedric Hunter trying to gas it up off the exit of the corner, but Cody Reed will become our stage winner as they cross the line. Yellow flag is out. Mason Cassidy will grab that last bonus point for himself, and Cody Reed, a breath of fresh air for the 25 that finds himself taking the stage win.
Big bonus points there, and I believe also that's back-to-back weeks that we've seen this 25 as our stage winner. So that's a great job by him. And I mean, if you win 2 weeks in a row in the playoffs, 2 rounds, getting the stage wins, that's 20 points you carry with you. That's a large chunk of points.
It is a massive chunk of points that you can carry with yourself as Cody Reed going to be your Morecast stage winner. Morecast, a great place to go get your joy as well if you're a racing fan. If you're looking to get yourself into diecast memes or iRacing, go to Instagram at Morecast. Check out some great content, or on YouTube at Morecast for diecast reviews, NASCAR discussions, and more as the drivers enter pit road. It's going to be a very quick stage winning talking with the 25 of Cody Reed as some drivers going to make the hard decision. Do you stay out? Do you come into pit road? Joshua Kanata not gonna pit. He will be the only driver not to pit who's yet to do so.
Interesting decisions. I thought more would be willing to stay out there, Sam. But now this has made the strategy from the others who've pitted already at that beginning of the stage look even smarter. So, you know, the likes of Cody Reed and Cedric Hunter, they're going to be mired back in some pretty big traffic.
A lot of traffic to deal with, and we've seen traffic. It is clogged up. It is very difficult to make moves forward once you get inside of the meat of this field in the middle. It's tough to make any moves forward for yourself, but all of the drivers that pitted earlier now going to be slotted ahead. We got a new cast of drivers inside of our top 10. We got Joshua Kanata going to be your lead driver, Thomas Green, Martin Morales Jr. going to be in third, and Nick Crawford in fourth place. Great runs all around. And we're going to see if we can try to queue up Cody Reed right before we go green here to see if we can talk to our stage winner as we bring up Cody up into the booth. Cody, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, Cody, another stage win for yourself. How are you in this 25 feeling, though, all the way back in 14th position?
I wish we weren't getting so many cautions there, so maybe I could still be up front. But I'm kind of scared. This is going to be pretty hectic here. I'm pretty happy I swept the stages this round. I think that pretty much locks me in on points, so I don't really have to worry too much about where I finish. So I'm going to try to drive to the front as fast as I can here. So.
Well, Cody, we'll let you get focused up and ready for this restart. Good luck, and hopefully we'll be talking at the end of the night.
Yeah, thank you.
As that's going to be your very quick talking to your stage winner, Cody Reed. Back-to-back sweeps last week and this week on the stages. But up front, Joshua Kanata going to be the lead driver with Thomas Green to his outside. The 16 gets the launch, moves up immediately. And here we go, Zach. No more stage racing worries. It's all about grabbing the win now.
That it is. We'll see what Kanata can do with these older tires. But look at this. Thomas Green just cutting to the bottom with such ease to get to the inside of our leader, and you can go ahead and hand it over. I think Green's going to have it, but Kanata fights back. It just shows you the tires are still having some life left in them with all these laps on them. It's just the caution laps have allowed this, and Kanata fighting strong right now. Is now Nick Crawford to the inside.
Crawford to the inside. I think Josh Kanata have really had to back out of that corner. Got spooked of the double zeros rear bumper that they were going to make contact out of 4. And for Josh Kanata, it's just going to get tougher and tougher as he falls back. But luckily, he's got a barrier to work with. That's the 91 Mark Morales trying to hold back the likes of Ethan Smith and Malik Coates that are trying to make their charge forward. As well as seeing a couple of others showing their faces that we haven't seen up front in a while. Aaron Kralik, Sam Garcia, as well as Malik Coates, all fighting inside of our top 10.
Some great fights all around this racetrack right now. Looks like the 91 Morales stuck on this bottom along with Kuntz. There's 2 going a little bit backwards. It's now Kralik goes around the outside. And here comes the 50 of Samuel Garcia trying to move his way forward and get into the top 7.
Trying to make their way forward if possible. Andy Cochran in 9th, Sora 10. And it's all the drivers that just came into pit road to get service done. 11th on back. Dakota Moniz, one of the drivers that actually pitted right before our stage break. He is faltering, going backwards. That is tough for Dakota Moniz. He was just 4 points out from making it to the next round, entering tonight. The way that he's running here this evening, he's going to need a miracle and maybe some help of other playoff contenders having a rough night to take those spots and points away.
You're exactly right, Sam. He's going to need some help here, I think, a little bit here. But caution's out in Speedway. I think Horn around.
Tyler Horn spinning around. So this is a lone spin, and it looks to be another self-spin by the 26. That is going to be finding himself bringing out another yellow back in that 25th position.
Tough night for the 26 guys. Just same incident that has plagued them 3 times in a row now for him. So that is definitely gonna be tough for Tyler Horn, but we'll see if he can figure out how to get that truck straight and out.
Well, for us here up in the booth with another same caution of a self-spin, I think this is a perfect time for us to take a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to bring you more racing action here at Bristol for the ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series. You're watching the Bristol Thunder 200 presented by Lariat Productions. When we come back, we should have a clearer picture of what the point situation looks like as we get ourselves prepared for tonight's the conclusion of this Bristol race. We are back, ladies and gentlemen, and under our quick commercial break, we have lost Tyler Horn. He's called it a night after a rough start for himself. We're down to just 24 drivers out on track, and Thomas Green going to be the lead driver with Nick Crawford, Ethan Smith, Joshua Kanata going to be your top 4. So we're seeing a great battling going on just inside of our top 10. See Malik Coase, John Forbes, Sam Garcia, and Cody Reed, your stage winner in the 25, trying to make his march forward.
Reed has been doing so much heavy work there, and you see Morales there. He had a big slide off the corner. That's going to lose him a bunch of spots, but Reed has been trying so hard to use those fresher tires to go forward, but it's just been tough to do.
It's been very tough to do so far, as we've been talking about most of the night. This truck very unstable on entry into these corners and off exit, and all drivers are trying to minimize the slide and the spins. And speaking about the slide and spin, I believe that was Malik Coates gets a little bit sideways. Another driver having issues with the 20, and Jesse Thornton, and there goes the 96 into the wall. Self spins around, and the field's trying to avoid it, and they will. No, just gave their way past that 98 machine.
Everybody else scaved past it, but one thing he didn't is he found that inside pit wall, and really that truck is done for, as you're going to see that 98 having to take the tow. But same, Malik, similar to Tyler Horn, just struggling super hard tonight to keep that truck underneath him. And this will be the second time we've seen this truck do this, and got to that outside wall and just really, you can see from there. I mean, the tires were just overheated. It was like he was driving on ice, and
he was
just goes straightaway.
Yeah, he was skating, and then just splits Smith and Danny Cochran. A couple of other major scares. I mean, I gotta say, I was expecting here tonight, with the real danger of the slipping and sliding for these vehicles, we could be seeing a lot of big wrecks, multiple vehicles involved. And kudos to the field. They have been able to avoid carnage when it was right in front of them. Don't know if it's the graces of the racing gods have been perfect timings, but man, these drivers have done a great job avoiding one another the best that they can. And I'm crossing my fingers, knocking on wood, that didn't just come to curse them, but I got to give kudos for these first 70 laps at least.
You really do. I mean, everybody just kind of split past them. I thought that one was going to go bad for a few guys, but it seems like it stayed straight. But one thing this will happen is Kanata. He's given up on the older tires. He says, I'm coming down now. And I think this is a good window for him to do this because, lap 80 right here, I think you could see him try to possibly take these tires to the end of the race now. So, I even think, Sam, just here's a driver myself, think of strategies, what you could do to gain track position, especially if you're farther back and you don't want to risk it. I mean, you could sit back there, ride around and go really slow and wait for the cautions just to happen and save the tires and wait for others to pit. But it is just going to be, I think, a race of really split decisions on, do I need tires, or is the yellow flag going to just be the really big thing?
Yeah, it's tough to say exactly what decision's going to be the better one. Was it the drivers that pitted before the stage? Is it the guys that are pitting right now that are in the better spot for later on? Because we've seen Joshua Kanata, I think he proved, older tires are going to hurt you later on in a run if there is a big enough difference in tire wear, even with the pacing and caution laps that we have. So I think it will be crucial maybe with the final 50 laps on when you make that final decision to maybe take your final set of tires, if you luck out with a big enough group coming into pit road with you. But for now, it is going to be Thomas Green, Nick Crawford, your front runners. So we got to get back to green flag racing as we have 120 laps to go as we're back to green flag running. And it's going to be Thomas Green taking off Ethan Smith, trying to keep up with our leader as side by side, Nick Crawford and Ethan Smith.
There we go, Ethan Smith, one of the better concrete drivers in history. Oh no!
He blinked and it neck-coated into Nick Crawford, chipping the 74 into the wall. In a bizarre moment that you rarely see, Crawford holds steady, but it pushes the 74 from battling up for second, now in the middle of the pack, and it clogs up everyone else. They have to take a deep breath. And for the 74, we got to really watch out for those tires. That big slide could be hurting him very quickly here, as battling for second place goes to John Forbes and Ethan Smith.
Here we go, battling's on, and you got Vincent Soar right behind them. Aaron Kralik in the picture too. What a save it was from Nick Crawford to keep us green here, but it was definitely some type of connection issue there that really shot the 99 up into that 74, and Just unfortunately, Nick Crawford took the brunt of that. But right now, Thomas Green loving what he's seeing in his mirrors. These drivers are battling super hard.
Yeah, he's loving this
Really?
battling. Driver into the outside wall. It's Eric Kralik in the 0-1. He'll try to stay up there as the field drops below. And able to make the pass for now. As he'll now battle the 0-1 and Thomas Green going to be side by side with one another again. Eric Kralik comes into tonight. Didn't grab any bonus points for himself. And one of those drivers where, with how Ollie Fonseca got bonus points, the 24 and the 0-1, they're very close between one another. And every point matters now for Eric Kralik as the driver spins. It's GT Irizarry in the 14 that goes around off the exit of turn 4.
One of our playoff drivers here who needs a good night, and he's been having a quiet one, you know, kind of just minding his own business, and had kind of a similar thing that's played out a lot tonight. It's been off of turn 4 mostly that we've seen these late spins, so to say. You know, we've seen them into the entry of 3 and 4, but a lot of them coming off the entry of 4 too. So 3 and 4 just must be a little bit more treacherous tonight, but there's already here in this traffic behind Garcia trying to, you know, find his way through. Probably just tries to gas it up a little too much as he turns up underneath him. And that truck just quickly goes around, and everybody does a great job of staying.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, gassing it up. It just feels like, based off the patterns we've seen so far, most of the time, besides, you could say, maybe Tyler Horn, it's been every driver trying to attempt to make a pass that finds themselves spinning off the exit of these corners off of 2 or 4.
It's exactly right. And I think what it is just, you just try to get a little bit too much, and ooh, big decisions made. Whoa.
Wow. This is almost the whole entire field making this choice. A pit stop now. And this is shocking. I knew we were closing in on the halfway. I thought maybe after the halfway of this race, we would see this massive pit entry, but wanting an advantage is Ethan Smith and a lot of the rest of the field, as we're going to have around 8 drivers deciding not to come into pit road. The rest of the field doing so, as we will be losing Malik Kuntz. We're now down to just 23 drivers out on track, and majority going to be making their pit stop just as they cross the lap 90.
Not usually that the majority decision surprises me too much, but man, that one threw me for a little bit of a loop there. Say my jaw dropped to the floor a little bit as I saw that many trucks turn down there. And I mean, it kind of does make sense. That was one of the longest green flag runs we've had. The tires heated up probably the most they've been all night. We'll see if there is an advantage to it, but man, oh man, definitely was something I didn't have in the game plan for these drivers.
Ready for another shocker? Nick Crawford, 2-tire stop after that pit stop for himself. He takes the track position up to 9th place, but with how loose these vehicles have been, 2 tires seems like a gamble, but the 74 has been willing to gamble majority of this season. And I'm not surprised that he's doing it once again here tonight with just needing a decent day of points, and with the lack of amount of drivers we're seeing right now and the good bonus points Crawford grabbed. He's gambling for it. A very large gamble, though, as we're not even at halfway.
It's definitely a major gamble, Sam. I'm, you know, I feel like maybe that could have been a decision where he just stayed out and gained the track position instead of using 2 tires, but we'll see. I mean, hey, it's better to learn now than try to do it at lap 189.
Very true. As up front, Thomas Green, Cody Reed going to be your front row as the pace car pulls off. We're back to green flag racing, and Justin Smith able to get a good launch. He'll now be side by side with Reed down into turn 1 for 2nd place.
Reed here trying to make that rebound after the stage victory and losing all those spots from coming down the pit road. He's going to clear the 6 of Smith, but here's the gaggle of trucks that just pitted. They're all 2x2 led by Nick Crawford on the 2 tires, and I got to imagine that thing is firing off pretty loose.
Very loose, I'd imagine, as well. As also on the outside, got to be the 34 of Ryan Ferraro, who's checking up Ethan Smith, who was pitted right with that 74. A little bit of blinking action from 15 of Vincent Sora. Nick Crawford's got to be thinking, not another blinking car around me, as the 74 just blitzes his way forward, trying to make the pass on the Barbie machine in front of him, as well as other drivers just continue to be stacked 2x2, and oh no, trouble for the 0-1 of Kralik.
Kralik goes around in yellow on the racing surface as the 0-1 gets it turned back around, but just continuing the trend of the night. Self-spins is going to be, I think, the #1 word spoken from a lot of these drivers, but hard racing going on here. But you can see again in the entry, it just a little too deep. You get in too hard into the corner, the rear end steps out. You get onto the gas too hard, the rear end steps out. So these drivers are not just dealing with a truck that gets loose off or gets loose in. It's really a truck that's just loose overall. So it makes the driving super difficult.
Running on board the 01, it just snaps. I mean, he was just running his normal line, and I don't think there was anything that could have predicted that was how that car was going to react going into the center of the corner. And Baron Koralik goes from running just out of the top 15 to outside of the top 20, and a driver that really lucked into making the playoffs after his misfortunes at Las Vegas, had enough points that kept him for a chance to make the playoffs. Here tonight, that 01, his luck might have ran out with the way tonight is running, but still a lot of racing action as we still have half of the race still to go. But it is a lot of work to get through each and every driver that's in front of you.
It's really going to be a tough task for him for sure back there from 23rd, but we're not halfway yet. So, anything is possible. We've seen drivers come from pretty far back so far and have good runs, and we'll see if Kralik can make that return back up. But Green staying out once again, leading the way. Reed up the second now. Kanata up the third, and Kanata should have the freshest tires of this grouping along with Martin Morales there. So those two on much fresher than Reed and Green, but then you'll have the likes of Nick Crawford and then Vincent Sora from there on back on much fresher tires.
I want to say thank you to everyone that's joining with us here tonight on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, watching the ISRC Lyra Productions Truck Series. This is the last race of the round of 16 to see who will move on to the round of 12. 4 drivers will not be moving forward into the playoffs and hunting for that Season 6 championship. But with tonight's race, there's a few drivers that we can say are pretty much locked in based off the points that they came into tonight with and the bonus points that have already been secured with leading a lap and stage bonus points. Those drivers are already locked in, being Justin Campbell in the 9 machine after last week's win, Vincent Sora based off of pure points, same for Danny Cochran based off of pure points, are locked in. Also, other drivers that are pretty much locked in, Cody Reed and Christopher Norris are in some very good spots in points-wise, as long as they have a decent finish of finishing inside of our top 20. Other drivers that are in some tricky spots. Aaron Kralik did not get stage bonus points, and he came in as our cutoff driver with the stage bonus points, but Ollie Fonseca actually would bump up the 24. So Ollie in a good spot to try to steal a position in the playoffs. As we are back to green flag racing, Thomas Green, Justin Smith, Cody Reed, your top 3 as they exit out of turn number 2.
Oh, big loose for the 25 of Reed as he slides up in front of the 6 of Smith, but it was Kanata who lost out a ton there. As now Campbell got around him. Kanata back to 5th.
Kanata trying to figure out how to re-slot his way forward. Also, driver with the freshest rubber currently going to be Nick Crawford with this 2-tire decision for the 74. Also, another driver to watch out, Vincent Sora, right behind that 74 machine. Joshua Kanata trying to make his way forward, but issues line up further on back. GT Irizarry caught up in a slide as he just got a little bit too much and got on the apron through 3 and 4.
That he did, and I think maybe even jab the brake a little bit, not to run into the driver ahead of him, the 34 Ferrari into the entry of the corner there. Jab that brake, probably drops that nose the center of the way, and that truck just starts to over-rotate towards that bottom, and you can see there Garcia got involved a little bit there, along with those drivers, as I believe Thornick also.
Garcia has just been highly unfortunate with the amount of contact that 50 machine has grabbed. And if you're Samuel Garcia, you got to be slightly concerned because of the amount of contact the 50 has grabbed. A lot of the rest of the field has been okay, but there is a disqualification if you go over 24 incident points, that incident limit. Very concerned I am right now for the 50 machine with the I Love You Mama machine. Just had Mother's Day this past Sunday, and thank you to all the moms out there as this 50 machine hoping his luck turns around. As based off of what we saw from practice and from qualifying, Zach, I think both of us were hoping for a good day for that 50 machine.
Yeah, definitely, especially qualifying really had a good show in there and showed a good bit of speed, but yeah, it's tough to miss wrecks here at Bristol when they are happening pretty much every corner. So it's a difficult track, man, and right now all these drivers just trying to survive and also compete. It's survival while competing, and I think that's one of the more interesting things is while you're out here, yes, this race is pretty much filled with cautions each and every lap, but you still have to compete and think how you can beat your competitors, and that's what all these drivers are sitting here thinking, how can I get ahead of the driver ahead of me?
How am I going to get ahead? Also, want to say thank you again to those that are watching us currently. If you're able to chat down there in our live chat, love to hear your thoughts. Who are you rooting for? Who are you hoping will get moving on into the next round of the playoffs? And are you excited to see who can be crowned the Season 6 champion? We got a lot of contenders trying to become the first two-time champion. We got drivers trying to become a first-time champion in this series. As I've never have seen a two-time champion yet in this series. It'll be so exciting to see one, as we're seeing 4 of our 5 past champions making the playoffs, and all of them looking very strong this season. But up front, Thomas Green, Cody Reed going to be your front 2, ready for this restart. Justin Smith going to be in 3rd. Justin Campbell 4th. Nick Crawford 5th. And watching throughout the rest of the category of drivers trying to make their march forward, Ali Fonseca's been doing a decent job moving forward. This outside row, I think, is where we're going to be seeing a lot of speed if that 74 of Nick Crawford and Ali Fonseca can get by Justin Smith.
Yeah, we will. We'll see if they can mount a charge here on their fresher tires, but it's just going to be who can survive.
Pace cars into pit road. We're into the restart zone, and we are green. And it's going to be Thomas Green with the great launch for the 00 down into turn number 1 as he exits turn number 2.
Green has been excellent out front so far, but right now the battle behind him is raging on as Reed has been able to clear to 6 of Smith. But here comes the 9, last week's winner, and along with him, it's going to be the 2 tires of that 74, Nick Crawford trying to climb his way through Ali Fonseca, John Forbes, and even Christopher Norris now starting to show his way up.
Christopher Norris, a well-known, strong short track runner, but the track position just was not there for the 38 machine. As you've seen the gaggle of cars in front of him, but Justin Smith able to move up to 3rd. Everyone trying to get by the 6 machine of Smith, who continues to defend on the outside. Not a bad place to be if you're defending here at Bristol. As you hop on board Christopher Norris, you can just see through all of this chaos. It is difficult to make decisions, especially without quick reaction times at the beginning. Zach, this is constant motion, and there goes Smith, gets spun, and yellow flag is out in front of the field.
Smith goes around, and once again, yellow flag flying, and I believe that right there was a little bit of a loose condition coming off of 4, and then John Forbes really nowhere to go, has to make contact to the back end of the 6. You see that damage there. It's going to come from that 6. You can see he comes down the racetrack here on the exit. He's been kind of doing this lap after lap, running this high line, kind of doing this cut down arc here, and that will make these trucks really want to turn. And right here, he's going to go from good to not working anymore because he gets 2 sideways, and then there's Forbes, nowhere to go for him. He's going to finish him off.
Tap, spun, and the 6 machine going to have to deal with some major damage and get sent to the end of the line. As the conveyor belt just has to continue moving forward. As Thomas Green going to be still the leader with Cody Reed right behind him. And the field is just hoping to have a good run here on this restart for themselves. But gotta say, this is one of those races the field is trying to, maybe we're hoping not to get to. As take a look at a race report right now, the field, as we're into the halfway of this race, it's been almost a regular anywhere 5 to 10 laps. Someone's getting in trouble. And Zach, we've got ourselves 12 cautions so far here tonight. Our record for this season was 13. The all-time history record of cautions was 20. And if we continue at this pace, 20 is looking very likely. We could have a new caution record here this evening.
We're definitely breaking the season record. I don't think there's no way we don't go without 2 more cautions tonight. So, you know, the question is going to be, do we get up to 20? I mean, we're on pace. We are definitely on the pace to do that. And then throwing some green, white checkers, we might be able to get up to 23, 24. Maybe we hit that Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant number.
Yeah, I think the field's at least happy that we have more green flag laps ran than caution flag laps ran. That's the one positive that can take away from this issue, as well as pitch strategy calls. It really has influenced the track position on where you're placed right now. Our top 3 have yet to pit for the last 60 laps. And curious on, do they even think about pit stops, or do they make the pit stops after they've been passed by some of these other drivers that pitted 25 laps ago? Those little changes, I think, is going to influence this race, Zach, with closing in to the final quarter of this race.
I think if you're the leader, if you're Thomas Green, they haven't got around you yet. I think you got to stick to what you're doing. Now, this is going to be a little bit more interesting because it is Green restarting up top on this outside. He's been having some really good jumps up there. But on the outside behind him is the one thing I've noticed. Nick Crawford on the 2 tires there. This is going to be an opportunity for those fresh tires to have a chance.
As Thomas Green going to be the lead driver on the outside, Coda Reed on the inside groove. Green flag is out for these drivers as they roar down into turn number 1. It's going to be Nick Crawford trying to make the march on the outside row, trying to build up the speed as Justin Campbell gets held up down on the inside. That outside row, though, it's starting to roll as Christopher Norris and Ollie Fonseca try to muscle their way by the 9 machine.
That they are muscling their way around, and Christopher Norris not really had too much noise tonight. Now broke his way up into the top 5, and this is where he wants to be late in the second half of this race, right up here in the front half.
Christopher Norris has been a bubble driver here in the ISRC Truck Series in the past. Coming to Bristol, has been willing to be over aggressive. Ollie Fonseca, though, going to be on the other foot. The 24 has had so many close interactions. He's been on the back foot of being eliminated, even being tied at the cutoff line. This 24 does not want another similar situation. And with how aggressive some of these drivers have been up front, Ollie Fonseca knows he needs to get some spacing, get some drivers away from him, and just finish up front ahead of the 01 and the 14.
That he does. I think that's what the 24 set his sights on. But here comes the 15 now. Vince Sora down on the bottom, making the pass on Joshua Kanata, moves his way up to that 8th position. And man, oh man, this has been a fantastic night of battling going around. But right now, these starting to see some passing happening here with these fresher tires.
Finally, a little bit of green flag racing, but also lap traffic now going to be a factor as Jesse Wardock, underpowered, now going to be falling through the field on the inside, forcing everyone to go high. See how the 20 is going to influence these group of drivers we're watching right now as the 20 is just trying to get out of the way, and it's so difficult when you're a lap car. There's nowhere really to go to hide to get out of the way of the lead lap drivers.
There's really not, and that's one of the tough things right there is now you see Vince Sor go around him, Joshua Kanata along with that. And the one thing I'm starting to see, Sam, is it is still very difficult, even though if you have the fresher tires to make passes. Nick Crawford has tried multiple times to get to the inside of his teammate of Cody Reed, but it just hasn't been able to work. I think these drivers are going to really need it to go 25 laps before they really start to see that advantage on tires. And as I say that, the caution's out for Justice Smith spinning around.
Off the exit of turn 4, I've said it all tonight. Self-spin for the 6 machine. It's not been just the 6 machine. It has been a self-spinning night for a lot of these drivers. Bring out another caution here this evening, and this will tie us with this season for season 6 record of the most cautions at 13. As Justin Smith just goes down into turn number 3, trying to keep up with Dan Cochran and the rest of the field, and away he goes off the exit of the corner.
That is definitely something we've seen multiple times tonight, and like I said, not just the 6 truck. I mean, it's been multiple different drivers just catching them off guard, and I tell you, it's really shook things up. And right now, the question is, do we have pit stops going to happen or not? Because right now, Green looks like he's coming down. Looks like Crawford's going to follow him. As it looks like majority of the field going to come down this time.
Majority of the field. Justin Campbell's going to be the first driver to stay out. Mason Cassidy is well going to stay out. I think this is great to see from the 17. Cassidy needed to do something off the wall from what the rest of the field has been doing. And his tires, not as beat up as some of the other drivers in the field. So this isn't the worst call in the world for the 17, but this is a great call to see some of these drivers changing it up on this restart.
I agree with you, Sam. I think this could really play out well for a few of these drivers, changing it up and getting some track position. I think the likes will also see Mason Cassidy, Cedric Hunter stay out with them. I think Ethan Smith, Samuel Garcia, Martin Morales, Aaron Kralik, GT Arzari, Ryan Ferraro, Jesse Thornick. So I mean, 10 trucks going to be staying out here. So you're going to be looking like Thomas Green going to be restarting back around 11th with the fresh tires. I love this call if you're the likes of Campbell, Cassidy, or Hunter up front.
Great call, and this puts a lot of pressure now on those that just came into pit road. They're going to be mired back in 12th on back. They're going to have to deal with that mid-pack trouble and clustering up that they dealt with just 50 laps ago. And now it's going to be another issue of, can you be as clean and crisp as you were 50 laps ago, because the pressure is even higher. We're going to be entering about 70 laps to go, and here at Bristol, 70 laps can click away very quickly if we stay green, but that's the big question of if we stay green for the field. But Zach, this is now the pressure cooker moment of, does this put too much pressure for maybe some of the drivers that are down around that 15th to 20 position window right now that they're at, coming out from pit road and getting ready for this restart in?
I think it does. I think it really does put some pressure on them to have to try to make something happen here. They can't just ride around, I think. I think you got to try to use the tires that you just came down and pitted with, and we'll see. I mean, when you have a mixed bag of strategy like this out here and so little stability in these trucks where they just are holding on to not wreck, I think when you add this mixed bag of strategies, it's only going to make things that much more crazy. And I think you'll quickly may see another yellow here due to just some different speed levels.
As the field's going to be seeing Justin Campbell on the 9 machine, your winner from last week at Atlanta. He'll be your lead driver here on this restart on the inside. Mason Cassidy, who entered here tonight with the biggest expression between himself and the cutoff line of 18 points. He's going to be starting on the outside groove. Mason Cassidy practically in a must-win scenario for himself here tonight if he wants to make the next round of the playoffs. And on this green flag launch, keeping it pretty equal with Justin Campbell. Off the exit of turn 2, though, Campbell is already gone, and Cedric Hunter's putting the pressure for second.
Cedric Hunter putting that pressure on, but Cassidy's going to clear him on the entry of 3, but a 7 fights back through the center of 3 and 4. But it's Garcia with the 0-1 all over the bumper. And right now, that was super close action between them. I'm surprised it was in contact.
Yeah, there were a couple of drivers giving the bumper off the exit of turn 4. You don't want to be seeing that very often. Also, some drivers in the middle of the field tempting their fate of going 3 wide. They do cycle back to side by side, but some drivers are tempted to try to go 3 wide and take some of these big launching moves. Isn't working just yet, but as the drivers up front try to pull away, it's going to be Campbell. Cedric Hunter now moves up to second, but here's Vincent Sora, one of those drivers that's already locked in. Same for Danny Cochran. Because they've got that window of, we're practically safe to make it in the next round, they can make those aggressive moves if they want to get a little bit more reckless than others.
They've definitely could be making those moves, and I'm surprised to see the 15 and the 2 tonight have been, other than the 15's early incident, they've been kind of quiet with their moves, really. They haven't really been making no headway. They've just been kind of, plugging along and trying to make the race, and try to make their trucks last. But at some point, they're going to have push to come to show, because we're going to need a little bit of aggression if we want to go forward.
Absolutely. Also, you saw the 50 machine of Sammy Garcia getting a little bit loose off the exit turn 4 a lap and a half ago, as they will fall to 22nd position. Here's the chaos, though. Crawley, Ollie Fonseca, they'll stay 3 wide with Green on the inside groove. They make it off the exit turn 1, but oh no, Green goes sideways. Escapes it low on the apron. We'll stay green for now. Another driver losing a lot of time. Nick Crawford breaks loose right off the exit of turn 4, as he's now going to be losing a couple of positions. Watch out for these next couple of laps. Drivers are getting loose. Mark Morales might be the next victim. No, it won't. It's Kralik. Big spin on the front stretch. More drivers piling in. The big one we've been waiting for has commenced.
Oh, man. Right there, like you said, the first one to really have multiple different drivers involved. And the 0-1, just after staying out there, just seems super loose. And it just seemed like a lot of people were starting to get loose there, Sam. So that was a weird condition. And really kind of gathered up in a lot of trucks hurt. GT Zari, I think, one of the playoff trucks that's mainly hurt. Thomas Green, after his spin, gets involved in it.
As it was this move that kind of rattled a lot of cages. Small tap to Kralik. And he's trying to keep it steady. And it's shockingly, it's going to be Thomas Green that really just snaps loose here. Gets Christopher Norris having to back out. Kralik's also getting a little bit slippery, tries to gas it up off the exit of the corner, and it's the next lap around where ripping the top, maybe getting a little bit antsy, maybe seeing a little bit of blood in the water of drivers making mistakes, and it's the 0-1 who ultimately makes a little bit of wiggle, but then gets tapped by Christopher Norris, and Then GT nowhere to go. That's where the major damage for the 14 lie. That's required damage. Could be a playoff ending incident, as also another contact for Thomas Green as 50 holds up. But Zach, that contact with the 01 and the 38 started that incident.
That it did. And you know what's interesting is you look at Thomas Green. I mean, just one moment ago, leading this race, comes down pit road, takes the tires, makes one small mistake, and is involved in a major incident. It just shows you how fast things can change at this half-mile racetrack here in Tennessee. It is quite the whirlwind sometimes when you're out there as a driver, because quickly you can be having a terrible night and all of a sudden you're in position to possibly win. So you just really got to take everything as it comes. And right now these drivers are definitely not knowing what's ahead of their future right now.
Yeah, I mean, this has been tough for the field at this moment to try to hold steady with, as we are going into our final quarter of this race. Now, the field does have overtime if needed, as we have 3 attempts later on in this race. And looking at the past here at Bristol, it has been a race that actually started off when they first ran here back in season 1, a very clean race, as back in season 1 only had a total of 4 cautions. Season 2 only had 8 cautions, and then season 3, 4, and 5 it just ballooned out to 14 cautions in season 3, 13 cautions in season 4, and then the most last season at 15 here at Bristol. Here tonight we are at 14, but it's been in every 10 lap caution coming out. So we are still in the window of, it looks like we could be getting a couple more before this race is over, and the field knows this is about to get a little bit complicated. Speaking of complicated, GT Irizarry, too much damage. He has left the server. The 14's fate of making it to the next round is now into the hands of the rest of the field. I talked to GT, even if he makes next round, he won't be able to run next round because he's going on vacation. So that spot wide open for maybe someone to steal and move on to a round of 12.
Tough break there for GT involved in that incident, having to call it quits tonight. But like I said, not able to participate in the next round, so not going to be able to use that playoff spot anyway. So we'll see how it shakes things out. But right now, Campbell, the lead still, and Cedric Hunter right there beside him.
For Justin Campbell, he is on 90-lap old tires. Everyone else behind them for second and third, 54-lap old tires. Everyone else, 16 or less. Campbell gets the launch, but how long will these tires hold out with the likes of Hunter and as well Ethan Smith? But Ollie Fonseca, the 24, is the true contender to watch out for with the freshest of tires inside of our top 10.
Yeah, it's really those drivers from 5th on back to see who is going to be the first one to clear this bottleneck of Cassidy and Smith here, because once you get past them, it's Cedric Hunter by himself and then the leader just of Justin Campbell. So though you know those drivers are right there chomping at the bit to get around them, right now it's still stacked up and there's really nowhere for them to go. Fonseca, though, going up the racetrack.
As our leaders are catching up to Mark Morales, the 91 just had a spin as we went green. The 91 tires look to be a little bit heated up. We'll see if our leaders get any complications with the lap car in front of them. But for now, Justin Campbell continues to pull away from the chaos. That's for 5th on back, as Ollie Fonseca, Christopher Norris, and Mason Cassidy continue to fight back and forth. A top 5 finish could be so crucial to making sure you're into the next round. For Mason Cassidy, it's everything. A top 3 finish, a win is necessary for the 17. For Ollie Fonseca, a top 5 finish automatically at this point would lock him into the next round. The 24 needing a massive run, but he's being heavily pressured as we're in the final quarter of tonight's race.
Looking off some green flag laps now. Let's see what the 38 can do. He's looking to the inside here of the 24. They need to get around this 99 of Ethan Smith, who has moved his line from the bottom up to the top. He's seen the 24 the 38 make it speed up there. He's taken that line away. Now what does Fonseca and Norris do? Because they had the 15 of Vincent Sora and Nicholas Crawford working that bottom.
And if you heard these fast drivers, well, they're going to have another reset. Caution flag looms, and it's trouble on the front stretch. Thomas Green, Justice Smith, Samuel Garcia going to be having a little bit of parking lot on the front stretch for the 3 of them.
And it's going to start with the 6 of Justin Smith coming off of turn 4. Just going to have a similar fate that he had earlier in the race. And I think a spin we've seen at least 6-7 times now already tonight. You can see here under our replay what exactly did play out for the 6, but it's down here again. Once again, in the entry to 3, getting a little bit sideways there. And that truck just over-rotating in the center. And right around he goes. Garcia involved there. You see Tyler Dingler. There's green, and all he gets involved in it again as the 6 comes down the track.
I just feel bad for Simon Garcia. I also feel bad for Thomas Green. Garcia just cannot buy a break here tonight, and that was an interesting call to do a J-turn with oncoming traffic, but that's what Justin Smith tried to aim for, and it cost other drivers, and was not a successful turnaround. But speaking about turnaround, a lot of drivers pit stop. I was curious. This looked to be the window I had circled up, Zach, of this might be the last time that you want to come into pit road. And we're seeing a wide margin of drivers that are further on back making the decision. It's pit stop time.
That it is. Looks like Cedric Hunter, Ethan Smith going to come down. Then farther back, it's going to be like some Mason Cassidy and others following. So this looks a lot better for, I'd say, likes of Cedric Hunter and Ethan Smith there. I didn't, the timing, like you said, I think is perfect for your final stop. If you're going to make it, you need to get it done now because you're not going to have the time available to you to get to that front later. But, man, I thought they would lose more track position with others staying out, but it looks like Hunter going to come out 10th. This very well could be the perfect timing, like you said.
It's always the gamble of you never know who else will be joining with you, especially when you're that first driver to enter pit road. And Cedric Hunter, it's got to be saying thank you to everyone that joined with them as the field getting stacked up and ready for this restart. The driver with the oldest tires, though, it's still our leader. Justin Campbell pitted over 100 laps ago. He has only made one pit stop here tonight, and that was back at the stage. So far, Campbell has kept his positioning, but for how long is going to be the true question, because the drivers behind him, it is about a 70 lap difference between the tires compared to the 9 and to Ali Fonseca and the rest of our top 8. Then it's over 100 lap difference from the drivers back in 10th on back that just pitted for tires. This 9 of Justin Campbell, he wants the sweep. If you win both races, you have a 10-point buffer going into the next round. And this is exactly what Campbell wants to have hanging over everyone else's head going into the round of 12 as we're back to green flag racing. Ali Fonseca, Justin Campbell, they take off, they roar, they go down the exit turn 2. It's all the 9, but here comes the rest of the field putting the pressure on.
That they are putting the pressure on, because here comes the 38 of Christopher Norris. The 24 got to go up and block that, but now the 38 cuts down, and Vincent Soares got to back out of that situation because the 38 looked like he was going to go for it anyways.
And just Christopher Norris, it looks like win is the only thing on his mind. Big picture's not there. Ali Fonseca recognizing he wants to just survive this race, but oh no, trouble strikes for drivers in the middle of the pack as trouble hits the 91. And other drivers having a scare. Mark Morales, though, spins around for himself.
Big hit to this inside wall for this 91 machine, and I think we're going to see here that he may have got just a little bit of help here coming off the corner. I don't think this one is a self spin. I think this might have been one of our first Bristol bumps here, as we'd say, is that 99 of Ethan Smith on fresh tires. He's just going to come off the corner and just clip that right rear of Morales and send him around.
Yeah, and over the radio, Ethan Smith immediately after even the bump was just saying, I'm sorry to Martin, because he knew that small tap was the reason for Martin Morales spinning around. And both drivers saying their own thoughts. Ethan very apologetic. And Martin, I think at this point, he was hoping to just survive with the way that car was feeling earlier on. This extra damage not going to be helpful in any way, as it will be required damage for the 91. He will have to go into pit road. And it looks like he's going to have to take a tow as his engine has expired.
Tough breaks for a lot of these guys tonight, man. It's just Bristol, you never know what is around the next corner. And I think a lot of these drivers are going to come out of here saying, I'm glad to be out of here for sure. The age-old adage of, a lot of people want to fill this place up with water and make it a pond because of just the bullets. And I tell you, it's definitely a love-hate relationship. When you come out here with a good race, you're going to be very, very happy with it. But when you come out here with a terrible race, it's just going to be something that really haunts you until you come back here and have another good one. So it is tough to see, but got to give Campbell huge credit, man, on that 108 laps on those tires. And really, I think he's proven that staying out really hasn't been a big issue.
I think also what helps him is he's got two drivers that are, we've seen in past seasons have, a small rivalry, maybe an underlying a rivalry between one another of Christopher Norris and Ollie Fonseca. But the way that I've been seeing the 38 racing Ollie Fonseca, I think we might have our new playoff rivalry to watch out for, because Norris has been putting all the pressure on the rear end, almost always making contact with Ollie Fonseca. It's been a lot of almost, but if there's contact, I would imagine Ollie is not going to be very happy with Christopher Norris, who is feeling very good in a point situation for the 38. Well, Ollie Fonseca is not an absolute to make it into the next round of the playoffs if he has a bad finish here tonight.
That's exactly right, Sam. There's no absolutes for the 24. He needs to have a great run. The 38 in a much better position. He's willing to risk it, and sometimes with the options and the risks you got to weigh, if you're that 24 Fonseca, how much are you willing to risk?
Drivers up front, old tires for Justin Campbell. Those that pitted before, Cedric Hunter only able to gain just a couple of positions from the last restart, but here we go. Less than 40 laps to go for ourselves. Justin Campbell, great launch, but Christopher Norris and Ollie Fonseca saw a slight weakness in the 9 machine, and they're going to go 3 wide off the exit turn 2. Talked about taking a risk. Christopher Norris saw a chance. He'll keep it side by side. Campbell goes back, moving into 3rd, 4th, 5th position as they're still battling for 3 wide. Fonseca's to the point. Norris tried everything for that pass as they'll still beating and banging against one another. Oh, Zach, this don't look good as Christopher Norris wants that lead bad.
That he does. He is going for it, Sam. And right now going to dive it to the inside. Does he have the drive through the center of the corner to clear? And he does. Coming up off of 2, he's going to clear, but Fonseca to the back bumper. And this is getting wild.
Cody Reed getting into issues, running into Justin Campbell as they're beating and banging back. And oh no, Nick Crawford, hard contact into the pit wall, battling for 5th place. He'll now stay low. We continue to stay green. Christopher Norris, though, you better run, you better hide, you better hope that we don't get a restart, because that 38 is going to be hunted and hounded by the 24 if we get another chance. As we're closing in on 30 laps to go, Nick Crawford, issue for himself, and yellow flag will be thrown.
Man, oh man, and I tell you, it all started, it was Reed and Campbell side by side, 3 wide with Crawford below them, and they got into each other. That knocked the 74 down the racetrack, and then don't know exactly what happened after that. I think that broke the right front, and when he came to a stop, I think that brought out the yellow.
Here's going to be the hard racing. Teammates just giving a tap, and Nick Crawford tries to stay low, not to include anyone else, and then we'll just slowly putter to a stop here. And I think because the way we've been seeing Netcode running, once he took the toe, that slight incoming of our leaders is what brought out the caution right there, and that's going to reset the field. And for Christopher Norris, this is exactly what he didn't need.
He did not need that yellow, and that's a tough call to be in, because that's your 2 teammates making contact that brought out that yellow. And I think Campbell now, who had stayed out for that long period, is finally going to have to bring the 9 down. So you see him coming to pit road, but big thing for him is he's going to lose a ton of track position, have to start way farther back. But now, like you said, Christopher Norris, he's got Fonseca there. He does have the likes of his teammate John Forbes there to play with, but man, oh man, I tell you, it could get dicey between those 2. There was a lot of contact on that last restart.
There certainly was, and the aggressive move, willing to go 3 wide. I think this is the one thing, Christopher Norris, his racing style is just, there is recklessness and there's just no care if your car gets beat up or not. You see an opening, you're taking it. That's what the 38 has done throughout his whole entire career here in the ISRC Truck Series. There's been moments where I think other drivers have tried to help coach him to calm it down, but in this season, in the last couple, I would say month and a half, Norris has just put it to another level of, if there's an opening, he's willing to take those big moves or big blocks to hold people off. I would not be surprised if another big block or a big move happens with this 38 if he sees anyone challenging for a win here at Bristol.
That very well could play out like that, Sam. I mean, the biggest thing for him, now he has control of the restarts. He needs to focus on getting great launches. Do not, change up how you launch in the box. Restart one time right as you go in the box. Restart right at the end of the box. Restart in the middle of the box. You need to be different, so you're not allowing the likes of Fonseca, who's restarting beside you, to time it, because if you can be clear entering the corner, it just gives you so much more options to that turn 1 and 2 just to try to drive away, and hopefully behind you they'll be side by side.
Also, some other playoff drivers and where they are going to be restarting here. Watch out for Joshua Kanata. He just pulled into pit road for this restart. That 16 is going to be all the way back in 17th position. Kanata entering tonight was 10th in points. Only had a 4-point buffer. He has grabbed a few bonus points from our stage and from leading the lap earlier this race. So there are some bonus points that can assist the 16, but he needs to make sure that he finishes inside of our top at least 13 to feel comfortable going into our next round. Other drivers of note, also Dakota Moniz did not get any stage bonus points. He's gonna need a good run here, but Aaron Kralik in the 01, great recovery for himself, currently runs in 9th. He needs to continue moving forward though to gain these positions to make sure that he's a little bit more confident going into the next round. As the field is stacked up, we're ready to get back to green flag racing. Less than 30 laps to go. The Bristol Thunder 200% by Lariat Productions ain't over just yet. We got more brawling action, and the top line takes off. It's Christopher Norris and Vincent Sora down into turn number 1.
Great start from that 38, but more importantly, the 15 of Vincent Sora. He's now here to challenge the 38 of Christopher Norris, and if I'm Christopher Norris, I think that's your worst nightmare. You do not want this 15 behind you. He's got so much speed we know about. We'll see if he's able to utilize it now, but Cedric Hunter on the freshest tires. He's trying to work his way around Fonseca. This could get dicey.
That 7 machine is the biggest threat of all drivers. He's got the freshest tires by a 27 lap advantage over the likes of Vincent Sora and Christopher Norris, and he's been marching his way forward every single lap that he can, and also taking advantage of other drivers. But the 15 and the 7 teammates willing to give slight contact. We'll go 3 wide once again. It's Cedric Hunter, Vincent Sora. They've got to hold off on the outside row as only Fonseca takes the pounce. Now it's the 24 and the 15 for second place. Christopher Norris is loving this in his mirror as we're side by side. Second, fourth, Hunter in the wall though.
Man, oh man, Cedric Hunter was in the prime position to win this race and has let it all slide out of his hands right there. Just got in the back of his teammate Vincent Sora, and I was surprised to see those two racing like that with each other. I know it's late in the race, but Vincent Sora not much on the line. Cedric Hunter needs some points to make sure he goes through. But man, oh man, this has shook things up now. It's Forbes, the driver trying to go forward, as Christopher Norris. I mean, he is shot out of cannon.
He is gone, and that's what's a great battling for second place has enabled the 38 to have almost a second gap over second place and a second place over a second advantage over third on back, as now the driver with the advantage on tires give it to the 2 of Danny Cochran, who's staying low and trying to do the reverse march forward. Been seeing the inside row be the more difficult place to make passes, but the 2 having the fresher tires, it's kind of enabling them to have a chance to fight back, but being tough. Big slide by the 11 and the 24 to keep it straight on the exit turn 4. But watch out for these next 3 to 4 laps. We might be seeing more slips and slides.
That we will, as these tires start to heat up. Everybody pushing that much harder than they pushed all night long. You're going to start to see more mistakes show up, and I'm surprised we've stayed green this long with how much everybody's pushing. But right now, Christopher Norris trying to drive away. Vincent Sora is starting to gain a little bit of time back, but it's really that battle from third on back that's really heated up.
Big slide by the 20 of Jesse Thornick, but he can keep it straight. We stay green as the 2 down put the pressure for fourth place on John Forbes, and Ollie Fonseca third is just hoping that no one else gains any more positions for the 24 machine. A top 5 would be an incredible finish, with entering tonight being the first car out of our top 6 of our top 12 in points. But at this moment, it's all Christopher Norris by 4/10. Vincent Sora is closing in with 16, about to be 15 laps to go. But the question continues to loom. Will we stay green for these final 15 laps?
That's going to be the question, and I have concerns for that 38. His tires are overworked, Sam. He's already sliding on entry, sliding exit. This 15 methodically did not go that quick.
Dakota Moniz off the exit of turn 4. And our caution flag looms. Ryan Ferraro, Justin Smith caught up in this one. And for Christopher Norris, he can start counting his prayers, because that's the exact caution I think he needed.
You are exactly right, because this is going to cool those tires back down. Let's see what happened to Moniz here to exactly bring out this show as he's racing side by side here, back with Kanata. you know, Moniz needs a good points night to move himself through. But just, you know, it's been a tough night back here battling with the likes of these guys. But it's Kralik up in the wall, and I think he kind of jabbed the brake reacting to him. And that just shows you how on edge these trucks are. Just touching the brake like that, even lifting, can cause that truck to spin.
I got to give kudos to Justin Smith. That was a slight little graze with how fast he was rolling. That could have been a way more brutal hit to the 5 machine. Great brakes on the 6 there to make himself not cause even more damage to a playoff contender that is struggling. But, calls. Who's coming into pit road? It's a split decision of who's in or out, it looked like. But a late change by Christopher Norris. Right before he got to the line, he moves up, and he keeps that lead spot.
He's lucky this is iRacing and not real life NASCAR, because that would have been a major, major penalty there. And, you know, if he would have pit there, that would have been the biggest blunder we could have seen in maybe of all of ISRC history. I mean, that would have been completely handing the win over to this 15 or the 2 up front. But now, I mean, it's everything to play for, Sam. The tires are going to cool back down for this 38, where he was starting to struggle. I had some real concerns for him there, because that 15 had a head of steam when he got to him. Now, if you're this 38, you need to have an excellent restart. Make sure that 15 can't time it, hoping that 24 can battle alongside going into 1 and 2 and allow you to jump out to that same gap you had before.
Few drivers did enter pit road, being the likes of Cedric Hunter, Thomas Green, Justin Smith, Dakota Moniz, and Eric Kralik into pit road, get service done for themselves. The last couple of wrecks been having some big ones. The 0-1 of Eric Kralik, though, required damage for that machine. This is, again, talked about how GT Irizarry needs some drivers, maybe to have some major mistakes. Eric Kralik, another week of major damage, and he's going to finish very deep in the field. He's going to need some help if he's going to move on to the next round of the playoffs. As Christopher Norris, Vincent Sora picking their lanes. Zach, what's your thoughts on this with Vincent Sora stuck on the inside and Christopher Norris picking the outside groove?
Yes, I think that's the right call. If you're Vincent Sora, you cannot give that 15 an opportunity to have the outside there. I mean, what you're really hoping, and a lot of times even here at Bristol, in my opinion, just at least, when you restart on the bottom, you as a leader and having the timing, you should have the ability to clear that outside heading into 1, and especially off a 2 on a restart. But the reason why I think Christopher Norris here, more importantly, is going to line up on the outside, he wants that 24 to be behind him. He doesn't want to set up where the 2 is going to have the opportunity, or even that 15. He wants to see Vincent Sora battling Ali Fonseca coming off of 1, because that would be the door opening and the opportunity. So I like this call from the 38, but you cannot let this 15 time it. You have to get a great jump here and allow that 24 to help you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this could be the final restart of the night. It's going to be 8-lap shootout for Christopher Norris, Vincent Sora, Ali Fonseca, Danny Cochran, Cody Reed, and John Forbes, your top 6. Pace car pulls into pit road. And here we go for the Bristol Thunder 200. Christopher Norris going to be clear. Vincent Sora, Ali Fonseca going to be side by side, but will get clear to Sora for second place. That's exactly what the 15 needs. Will Ali Fonseca be willing to risk it, or will he continue to stay high? It looks like the 24 just trying to run his own laps, not trying to put too much pressure up front. It's just going to be the battle between the 38 and the 15 as they exit at turn number 2.
Here they go, still green right now. Christopher Norris trying to hold on to this. It's going to be Vincent Sora going high, cutting low here for a run off the exit of 4, and it's going to be a big run. He's going to look to the inside here, down to 1.
Down into 1, he breaks low, but pinching is Christopher Norris. Not going to be able to give any advantage just yet. 15, once again, dives low. A little bit of a slide for Vincent Sora. He keeps his foot in the throttle. They'll continue to bicker back and forth onto turn number 1. And they'll stay side by side. 5 laps to go here tonight. And Christopher Norris keeping the nose ahead, but this is bringing back the rest of the field to this battle for the lead. But Ali Fonseca, Danny Cochran, they almost make contact for 3rd. It's Cody Reed with the big slide. We stay green for now. Christopher Norris off the exit turn 2 keeps the lead over Sora. They still drag race into 4.
That they do. Here we go, coming to 3 laps to go when they cross the line. Vincent Sora side by side with his 38. The outside has been a little bit better, but the 15 much stronger. Let's see how it works out.
Staying down low, getting out of the way, is going to be seeing Jesse Thornock, but the battle for the lead is on. Vincent Sora, little bit of a tap, gets the 38 loose. Now going going to be seeing the push. The spin! Oh, he spun into the inside wall! We're going to overtime! Ollie Fonseca issues from a chance for a top 5. Gets spun off the nose of the 2 machine, and Ollie's hopes for moving on to the next round. Oh no, is that it? Is the 24th chances to move on to the round of 12 over?
I don't know what Ollie's doing right here. I mean, I understand you're trying to go to the inside of the 38, but you just ruined your opportunities possibly here because the 2 is on the inside of you here, and you're going to cut across the 2. I mean, nothing Danny Cochran does wrong at all here. He's just running his race. The 24 just cuts across and wrecks himself.
It's just a go for it move that we've seen drivers willing to take. Again, shocked no one else was collected in that instant. So right there, grazing on the outside wall, but Ollie Fonseca, you're right on board. Just stays there, and then I mean, Zach, he sees an opportunity, but obviously at this point he's tunnel vision on the battle, doesn't even see the 2 when he makes that move.
Does it not? Like you said, I mean, just that's the situations where you need somebody speaking in your ear saying, hey man, we just need a good solid finish here. We don't need no win. We don't need nothing, because in my opinion, yes, he dives across, cuts across there. He gets to the inside of Christopher Norris, but I don't know if that's going to be exactly working. I think that would have opened up the door for the 2. So it's just a move that definitely was on the more aggressive side, and I think Ollie's going to go back and question why he did that.
Now looking at the rest of this field, it now closes in that battle of who's going to move on and take maybe these final 2 spots of the playoffs and move on to the round of 12. Because GT Rosari's out of this race. Aaron Krolick's been having a poor run as Krolick is 13 laps down. And Ollie Fonseca now going to be back in 18th position. The drivers that he's get ahead of is Dakota Moniz, as well as trying to make sure that he's in front of Mason Cassidy, who, Cassidy, if somehow the whole entire front field wreck out here because we're going into overtime and you never know what these leaders are willing to do, this gives a huge opening. And also at the time of that yellow, Vincent Sora was the leader. New leaders to 15.
Vincent Sora, I mean, just an excellent job to work that bottom. He had the 38 laying on the door, and even the 38 really exited pretty low on the exits of the corner just to make sure that 15 didn't have much room in there. But I mean, he just slowly, methodically worked him over. There was a little bit of contact going in the 3, but I mean, at this racetrack this late in the going, side by side racing like that, you got to almost expect the contact to happen. And man, that definitely was some wild racing. And unfortunately for Ollie Fonseca, I think we'll see how many points he can gather back up right here, Sam, restarting back in around 18th.
The big thing for Ollie is at least he has an advantage over Dakota Moniz by 6 points. So that's 6 positions that there has to be a difference between, as well as trying to make sure that they're in a positive advantage over Aaron Krolick if you're Dakota Moniz. So it's going to be a difference between who can be in the better spot to take the final positions for themselves and maybe even steal a spot away from GT Rosari. It's wide open, but we are in overtime, ladies and gentlemen. If you've never watched us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting before or overtime before, it is a 2-lap shootout. If we get a caution under the first lap, we will reset for attempt number 2. But if we take the white flag, this race is official, and it's about who will come across the line first. Bumping and moving drivers around is valid on that white flag, but will we make it? Our first attempt at overtime for the Bristol Thunder 200 is underway. Little bit of a checkup going to be on the inside row. It's going to be Christopher Norris, Vincent Sora going to be side by side down into turn number 1. The run for the 15 is going to be greater though off the exit of turn 2 as they roar forward, hoping to stay green. As a little bit of contact, Danny Cochran into the 11. They spin, they wreck, and we're going to overtime attempt number 2. And oh no, Campbell! He let it coast into the field.
Oh,
the
no.
9 wiping out drivers. Who's safe from that contact though?
Man, oh man, that right there. I mean, multiple different guys involved in that one, Sam. And yeah, that 9 just letting go of the brakes, letting it drift right back across the track. That was definitely not a heads up move from him. But I think you're going to see this contact from the 2 to the rear end of this 11. And I think the 2 just didn't think the 11 was going to come down the racetrack. I think he felt like he was going to run the top and just misjudged it.
The 9 just lets it drop down, and clipping is Joshua Kanata and a few other drivers. And this is going to be forcing John Forbes in the pit road, Justin Campbell in the pit road, Eric Rollick's been in pit road. But man, aggressive moves all around. Just clipped off the nose of the two as John Forbes gets into Campbell, and Campbell lets it drift down into the field and collecting a few playoff contenders.
This sets up a second green white checkered restart, and I tell you what, we talked about Cedric Hunter. You know, he was in the prime spot at one point, had the freshest tires of the drivers around him, and he threw it all away. Well, he pitted after that situation, and guess what? He is back up here. He's up to fourth, and he's going to have an opportunity now to restart behind his teammate, possibly Vince Sora. Look out for this this 7. If he can get a great restart, he can have an opportunity to fight for a top 3.
And with that caution, we have officially tied the most ever cautions in an ISRC Truck Series race, tying with Season 1 at the Milwaukee Mile. If we go into attempt number 3, that would break the record of the most cautions ever thrown. That Milwaukee Mile race did use all 3 attempts of overtimes and finished under yellow. That was a very messy race where Vincent Sora found himself in victory lane after spinning out Mark Whitley during that race. That was kind of one of the catalysts of us seeing that birth of a rivalry that was so great to watch back in Season 1. Here tonight, though, Vincent Sora, the lead driver, he's got his 2 teammates that are going to be the row behind himself. And choosing the outside row makes the most sense, but he's giving the better advantage to Cedric Hunter. This is kind of a lose-lose if you're Vincent Sora, but knowing that, hey, you're the lead driver, you should take off and have the better launch than everyone else.
He should. You're exactly right. I mean, the biggest thing for him is he hopes that he gets a good start and Cedric Hunter doesn't get too good of a start to be able to clear that 38. Because if that 7 does what we've seen sometimes where that outside 4th car in the row can clear that inside line, that opens up some whole different realm. I'd look for the 7 to make a big move if that's possible.
But are we done with Rex? Welcome to overtime attempt number 2. If we get a caution under this first lap, we will go into overtime attempt number 3. But if we can take the white flag, this race is official. It's all about who crosses the line first. Vincent Sora, Christopher Norris going to be your lead drivers as we get ourselves prepared for this restart. 15 having a slight blink out for himself, same for John Forbes. But up front into the restart zone, we're green for the Bristol Thunder 200. Not the best launch on the inside. Teammates giving the bump to the outside groove. Cedric Hunter right on the bumper of Vincent Sora. Christopher Norris trying to put the pressure in. Norris keeping it close down into turn number 3. The rest of the field looking around.
Oh.
The teammates step. Oh no! Vincent Sora into the wall. Caution flags out, and Christopher Norris is the leader. Teammate on teammate. Sora once again. The woes of Season 1. They strike for the 15.
Oh, man. And guess what? That's a new record. And also, that is crazy to see. I mean, we saw contact earlier in the race from the 7 to the 15, you know, racing really, really hard. And right there, you know, I don't know if Vincent just didn't want to get clear of, because it just didn't seem like he was going very fast. I don't know if he was trying not to clear. I don't know if he just didn't have a good restart and it just all went downhill quickly. But man, oh man, on the side of the wall, riding it.
Zach, this wreck was critical. 3 drivers disqualified, too many incident points.
Ooh.
Justin Smith, Ollie Fonseca, John Forbes, all disqualified from this race. And as well, required damage to Vincent Sora. This has opened the door now. There are a lot of drivers with a chance to try to steal some positions. Dakota Moniz, who we thought made the aggressive decision not to come into pit road, the 5 could be stealing a position into the next round and pushing out one of our favorites to make it to the Final 4. Ollie Fonseca could be balanced out in round 1.
That it could be, man. What a crazy night we've had here at Bristol. I mean, filled with cautions, 21 of them. And it's going to be, you know, it's going to take the record by 1 caution here because we will not get another caution here. If anything, well, I mean, can't say that. Technically, we can. Actually, so we get a yellow on that very first lap. We can get 22. But if we get the white flag, it's done for sure. But, man, I tell you, it might be in the realm of possibility where we do see that yellow again. I mean, Christopher Norris has got to be in a roller coaster of emotions right now, going from the lead to second, now back to the lead. He know that it's got to be a lot of buildup right here.
And drivers that were going to be left on the lead lap, just 14 drivers will be on the lead lap for this restart. There are 15th on back, are either in pit road or have left the server already. This is it, the final restart of the night. If we get a caution under this first lap, the race finishes under yellow. But if we take the white flag, gloves are off. It's anyone's game of who's going to win here tonight. And for the drivers that are up front inside of our top 4, all of them are pretty secured in points if they get a good finish here tonight. It's all about bonus points into the next round. You get 5 bonus points if you get the win. This could be critical for themselves. Zach, this is the pressure that these drivers are feeling, because if you're Christopher Norris, Danny Cochran, you feel pretty secure in where you're at. Cedric Hunter also with the great stage bonus points. He's pretty good in points. Jared Talmadge, he's in a spot where he's comfortable as well. All 4 of these drivers can race pretty reckless and still move on to the next round of the playoffs.
I'm speechless almost, because it's just a lot of what has transpired here lately is just crazy to say. I mean, guys who you think guaranteed possibly going to pull it off, now out of the shot of it. Let's see what Cedric Hunter does now, restarting back up top on 4th. I mean, does he go for it again, Sam?
And for Ollie Fonseca, he's in 17th position. Dakota Moniz needs to finish inside of the top 10 to take that final spot away. Pace car to pit road. Our final restart of the night is underway. Christopher Norris is clear over Danny Cochran down in turn number 1. He'll hold off the 2 for now. They're going to be hard, aggressive racing for 4th place. The 38 and the 2. They've had their moments in the past. Slight contact for Danny Cochran into Christopher Norris. Off the exit, we take the white flag. This is it. Who's going to be winning the Bristol Thunder 200? Danny Cochran, Christopher Norris stay side by side. Cedric Hunter's going to be putting the pressure on the outside groove. Danny putting the pressure. He puts the tap. They'll be side by side. Cross the line. Cochran takes the win.
Man, oh man, photo finish. What a job by the 2. The 38 fought so hard to try to pull that off. But man, I think everybody that's right there in those front positions are just happy where they finished. That race could have been so much different.
Dakota Moniz, though, finishes outside of the top 10. The 5, he's in a questionable marker. If he'll move on to the playoffs with finishing at 11th, what could have been an absolute is now a wild card.
Man, oh man, this is crazy scenes right here from Bristol, as Danny Cochran's going to burn it down here with the win. I mean, Cochran, only lap he led all night, I believe, and gets it done right at the right moment.
Perfect for Danny Cochran there late. He gets it done. He gets to burn it down for us. We are going to step away. When we come back, we're going to talk to Danny Cochran, Christopher Norris, Cedric Hunter, and who knows who's going to be our spotlight driver when we come back right after this. Tonight, we'll find out again. The 98 machine, Jamie Horn, going to be your top driver with Christopher Norris to his outside. And drivers told to calm down after last week. And the way that this season's been going, the race admins feeling like the racing's gotten a little bit out of hand, a little bit too many cautions that the admins have been liking. They want to see this race get cleaned up. And looking at the past, this race has been a clean one. There's only been one race with more than 3 cautions. That was back in 2023 season 2. Besides that, it's been 2 or less. Could we have a caution-free race? Well, we're about to find out as the drivers into the restart zone. It's the Adam Looney Foundation 200 here at Talladega. We're green as Horn gets the better launch on the inside, but his partners nowhere close. The outside grooves got better collection, and watch that run off the exit of turn 2.
See what Gardner can do here, the winner from Daytona, already trying to fight up into a top 2 position and push the 83 past the 98 here as they come through the center of 1 and 2. But it looks like now Horn finally going to have the help there as the 4 Bill Gentry all over the back bumper.
Bill Gentry just did not get through the gears cleanly, but he finally was able to get to that back bumper, trying to push the 98 machine. But currently, it's Adam Gardner trying to push Christopher Norris out of the way, shoves that 83 to the 3rd groove, and he's going backwards. No help, and it's going to be the leader, Twisted Axle, on that middle groove as teammates in line. That's Gary Clune, Adam Gardner. They did not want to be the followers. They want to get right back to where they were to start out the season. That's leading the first lap goes to Adam Gardner.
Oh man, Gardner really just pulled a...
One driver makes some mistakes. It's Gary Clune in pit road, black flag, speeding on pit entry.
Oh no, here comes Chris Leftwich now down in the 8 machine, the 63 of Maydew there. coming down. And yeah, Clune, that speeding penalty, he's still sitting in the box too, Sam. So he's going to not be able to get back out there with his teammates.
And luckily for the Twisted Axle team, they should have at least 5 drivers in line with one another. As Andrew St. Course trying to drop back to that group, but everyone else up front still have not made their signs of the first pack to make the stop into pit road. Everyone else, though, and that second pack has already made that decision. Still very chaotic up front, no signs, and it went from peacefully in line to the back half of that pack is still 2-3 wide. No one feeling comfortable where they're at currently for that 15th back to 23rd position.
That they are not. And I'm looking at some of these pit stop times, about a 7.7 to an 8-second pit stop for most of those guys who come down. So we'll see how much time do they gain. Maybe they put less fuel in the car, because maybe this group here are going to have to take more. We'll just have to see how it plays out, because nobody up front still flinching to come down the pit road yet.
And looking at drivers that play by themselves of Gary Maydew and also Chris Leftwich, they look to be still fast enough to keep with the Twisted Axle drivers, so it should move up from just 5 drivers up to 7 that will be in line if they're able to stick to the draft, as they are trying their best. The lead pack, though, still in line. No signs of pit stops so far as we're inching closer and closer.
How this shakes out, but this may not be our last yellow.
I don't think so either, as this season, this is race number 11, but we've had over 5 green-white checkers this season. Last week was the first to finish under yellow. And it's been kind of that this season, where we get the late caution that gets us into this intense moment where we bring out another yellow because everyone's trying to make big moves to move up. And now we're going to have around 33 drivers on the lead lap. Majority of them still have good running cars. This is only our second caution of the day, but it doesn't look like we're going to be over anytime soon with the way that these drivers had made big moves earlier on in this race. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series. It's the post-race show for the last race of the round of 6, and the drama was mounting up. Who's in, who's out? A lot of drivers unsure of where they're going to find the perfect points and positioning. But late, Danny Cochran finding himself up front, and somehow, even with drivers spinning themselves off the nose of this 2, he had the power, he had the grip, and Danny Cochran takes the win here at the Bristol Thunder 200. Danny, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. Congratulations on the win. Man, how are you feeling after that roller coaster of those final 40 laps?
Yeah, what is going on, guys? Man, I don't see how it happened, honestly. Like from the drop of the green, even in qualifying, felt like everything that could work against us worked against us there. But just kind of rode the elevator all night, going up and down with tire strategy and track position, you know. Typical Bristol tire racing. Finally put ourselves in a good spot. Had contact with a couple cars. I'm not going to say anything until I see the replay, so I don't really know what happened there. But anyways, finally put ourselves in a good spot to take advantage there at the end, and somehow, some way, we pulled it off.
I tell you, Danny, that was quite the job, buddy. I mean, take us through that last restart. I mean, you had to make the pass on the bottom. That's tough to do. How did you get it done?
Yeah, so, I mean, the biggest thing was, obviously, he got the jump, so just trying to build the momentum, kind of tried to roll a little bit different line than what I had been, just wrapping, and since my tires hadn't had a lot of heat in them yet, I just kind of tried to get a good run off and kind of try to predict where he was going to be entering the corner at. That way I could adjust accordingly, because, you know, a lot of folks wouldn't think so, a track as small as Bristol is, but Aero is really big here. So trying to just find where the other guy isn't and take advantage, I gave him just the slightest bit of contact into the rear end. I think it was in turn 3. Man, it's hard to tell which corner we were in, but just to upset him a little bit, and then got it under him. And in 3 and 4, I know we made contact, but I mean, I feel like that's about as clean a finish at Bristol as you can ask for there.
I mean, it certainly was looking like fireworks about to fire off there on the white flag, but you guys kept it clean. Danny, you're now officially going into the next round with some bonus points with this win. How much do you feel like these bonus points are going to be crucial for you, knowing we're heading to Kansas and the Roval for the next round?
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, so that's going to be great. I feel pretty good about the next round. Not necessarily getting wins, but getting good results. Historically, we haven't done the best at Kansas, but I mean that's just been due to wrecks and stuff, mostly outside of our control. I think at the Roval, we're a solid top 5 car. I mean, I'm not going to try and push the issue too much there. As long as we can just have a solid day, I'm pretty happy. But yeah, no, dude, it was so crazy tonight. I didn't even think about the fact that that played to my advantage going into the next round. Honestly, I think I literally led 1 lap tonight, and it was the last one. But that's the only one you got to lead. So we pulled that off. Looking forward to the next round. Looking forward to racing with all these guys again. CSR team meeting is going to be a fun one this week, but we'll be all right.
I mean, it's like we said, this season's been nostalgia, a little bit of nostalgia, poorly for Vincent Sora there. But Danny, before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any more shoutouts.
Yeah, you guys for putting the show on, of course, for broadcasting the show, the admins for putting it on. They do a phenomenal job every week. I know Norris specifically, shout him out for a couple reasons. As a great race, me and him head to the finish there, as well as I know he works really hard as an admin. All of them do, but I know he's mainly doing points and a lot of the review stuff. So special shout out to him. My teammates, Vinny and Cedric, they obviously didn't have the race go the best as it could for both of them tonight. So hate that for those guys. Cedric rebounded pretty well. I think Vinny's still pretty comfortable into the next round though. Cochran Auto Detailing, Larry Arts Productions. Oh yeah, we got a win with the Larry Arts Productions blast truck. That was really cool. We finally got that done at Bristol of all places. I've wanted to win here for a really long time. Came here I think every season, and it's my home track, so it's kind of near and dear to me. And seems like something always happens where we can't. And I don't know if the stars aligned or what happened there, but somehow, some way, we came out on top at the end. So shout out to my competitors there that were running with me. Ollie was going for it, man. He was driving his heart out. And John, of course, I know we were kind of going for the same space there. That kind of sucked with him, but last and not least, all the moms out there get to sleep in their 2 shirts tonight. Loving what they seen out there. So happy Mother's Day to y'all, and that'll pretty well do it. Thanks, guys.
Well, that'll be your winner here tonight at Bristol, the 2 machine of Danny Cochran. Enjoy this one, Danny. Congratulations, and good luck next week at Kansas.
Thank you, guys.
As we move from first place, we head to second place, where we get to talk to the 38 machine of Christopher Norris. Chris, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. Second place, but man, like I said to Danny, what a roller coaster, those final 40 laps and overtime attempts. How are you feeling after all that chaos?
Yeah, it was a roller coaster for sure, and I don't want to sound like a sore loser, but honestly disappointed. It's just, I feel like in the last couple months, and ever since I won last September, it's always been around second place or close to it, or just being close to the win, but not being able to succeed at it. So it's a little bit disappointing. I'm glad I moved on, but I had a slight feeling throughout the race that I would, just because of how points was, like 23 above the cut line. But I was, the stars aligned, and then they went away for a little bit when Vincent got the lead, and then they came back, and then it went away crossing the line. So a little bit disappointing, but overall it was a good race.
Definitely a good showing for you tonight, Norris. Congrats on second place out there in the 38. I know you wanted to get the victory lane there, but at the end of the day, I mean, how tough was it there? Once, like you said, you would go from the lead to then Vincent Sora being in the lead, and then it handed right back to you. I mean, how big a mentality change is that, especially from going from not controlling the restart to now controlling the last final restart?
Well, I mean, first I originally started when I had to get by Ollie, because I knew with his teammate in front of me there, it was going to be difficult. So that's why I just said, screw it, sending it 3 wide by him and hopefully make it by. And I just had to do what I can to get by everyone that, has teammates and friends up there, because unfortunately all my teammates got wrecked out or something of the like. So just kind of had to do what I could. It wasn't bad. I know I had a slight chance with Vincent possibly if he messed up, kind of like what happened with him with Cedric giving him the boop. But yeah, I just knew it was a little bit difficult trying to get by everyone with teammates up there when I had no teammates and I was on the bottom line, on the top line. But yeah, I mean, that's just Bristol racing. It's definitely hard to do.
Well, Norris, round of 12, you made it this spot before. You got Kansas and the Roval, your next two races. What's the confidence level for these next two races to try to make it to the Elite Eight?
Um, well, the last time I raced Kansas, it was I know Cedric Hunter was in that race. He was my teammate as well. I got wrecked on like lap 10 because Cedric made a move that spun him and someone else, so I just died. So don't know how I compare it to Texas. I mean, sorry, not Texas, Kansas, because I haven't raced there since like season 3 and actually finished well, top 5 there, I think. The Roval road courses can be my thing, but not always are. But just hopefully, if anything, I can shine out at the road course and see what we can do.
Oh, we cannot wait to see how you're going to perform, Norris. Before we let you go, though, the floor is now yours for any more shoutouts.
Yeah, I mean, clean racing with the CSR guys, and same with FTB. It was pretty clean but fun racing. I know we didn't junk each other. I know they junked each other, but I didn't junk them or they didn't junk me, so that's always good. Even though Danny gave me a bump and run, 2 races in a row at Bristol, it loses for the win. But also my teammates, Cody Reed, John Forbes, and Nick Crawford. Unfortunate ending for John and Nick. Cody finished back in 9th, so nice top 10 for him. Also Tyler, who's in Alliance, as well as you guys on the amazing show. My fellow admins for helping put on the show for you guys. And also my parents. I hate to shoo them away, but I was just adrenaline was high, so I didn't feel like talking. But shout out to them for watching almost every night that you guys broadcast. And yeah, that'll be it.
Well, that'll be your second place finisher in the 38 machine of Christopher Norris. Enjoy this finish, Norris, and good luck for the next round of the playoffs.
Thank you.
As we move from second place, we go down to third position, where I think the feelings of how this race went down might be a little bit different. We've got the 7 machine of Cedric Hunter. Cedric, you had the tires, you had the positioning. Man, how are you feeling coming away with third place after the ending of this race?
I feel okay, I guess. I don't know. I obviously wrecked my teammate, so that's not the best thing in the world. Like I was telling him, I think I made a mistake with like 10 laps to go, and I guess gave him a bump then, and it was just me, I guess, trying to be aggressive and try to get to his outside, and like around lap 90 or whenever it was, and then somehow I cooked my tires and then got loose and dropped to the back of the field. Pitted, got freshies, and then I was just like, my mindset from that point on was just kind of try and get as many positions and build myself a buffer or whatever to the cutoff. And really wasn't expecting there to drive through the whole field as quick as I did, and I got overly excited, I guess you could say, with the last few restarts, and did something really dumb that I guess luckily for me and for Vinny that he had such a buffer, and he'll probably bounce back and win at least one race next round. So this sucks for him, yeah.
Definitely an interesting ending to tonight, Cedric. Get one up and down for you, but take us through the night, how hard it is to, stay in that right mindset of trying to go forward and not lose positions when it's restart after restart. I mean, 21 cautions here tonight. That had to be tough.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, it's weird because the truck kind of drove different than when it did at practice, or at least for me, it did. Like, it was really, really loose in practice after like 10 to 15 laps. It seemed like we couldn't keep the rears underneath us. As soon as we built temperature in them, they just, it snapped and you'd spin out. And in the race, it was not really like that, or at least I didn't really feel it. I mean, the one time I got loose the whole race, obviously I hit the wall, but that was the only time I ever got loose. So it kind of drove a little bit different. And like you alluded to, I mean, you had to just be aggressive and know that a caution was going to come out within 10 laps, and the tires were just going to reset on heat, and because of that they didn't really wear. I think I made the mistake a few times for sure that I had the assumption it was probably going to go green at some point, and I kept managing my tires and managing or losing track position and stuff like that, and eventually my teammates kind of just convinced me that there's very little chance that we're going green for more than 25 laps, and at that point kind of Danny and I were more aggressive and drove our way through the field. But it was quite interesting of a race, a lot of ups and downs as we saw, and yeah, it's just Bristol things, I guess.
I mean, Cedric's certainly a crazy Bristol race all around. We're now heading to the round of 12, Kansas and the Roval, these next two races. What's your confidence level trying to move on to the Elite 8 with these next two races in line?
I feel way more confident in that round than I did in this one, even though I think the competition is going to be a little bit tougher. Kansas, I have a feeling it's going to be like Vegas a little bit, where it's kind of going to be more that like super speedway-ish type feel. So that's kind of, anybody could really be quick there, and who knows how that's going to play out. And then we also have the Roval, where that's going to be more skill, and I feel pretty confident about getting at least the top 7-ish there, so I can get myself some good points. So as long as I can survive Kansas, I'd say my confidence level will probably be an 8 out of 10. It's, to me anyways, it's just going to come down to Kansas.
Oh, we cannot wait to see how you're going to perform for the next round. Congratulations for third here this evening, and the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
I appreciate it, guys. Huge shout out to you guys for doing the broadcast on a weekly basis. You guys always do a great job, and and that's obviously for this league and for WSR on Wednesdays and all that stuff. Shout out to my two teammates. Congrats to Danny for winning the race. Again, I apologize to Vinny for doing what I did. Like I was telling him, I guess after it happened, I don't race for wins as much as I used to, and I think I just got a little too excited there at the end when I saw the opportunity for it, and did something dumb. So again, I apologize to him. All three of us made it through, and I think we're all capable of going to the top 8 or whatever it's called, the Elite 8. So that should be fun. Shout out to the drivers and the admins. Thank you to the admins for putting on this league and that stuff on a weekly basis. It's been a lot of fun. Hopefully the rest of the season will be just as good, if not better.
Well, congratulations again, Cedric, on a top 3 finish here tonight, and good luck in the next round.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
As we move away from our top 3, we go to the driver that made it to the top 12 in points, taking the 12th place position. We head down to 11th place tonight and takes the final spot in the playoffs to move on to the next round. Dakota Moniz in the 5 machine. Dakota, you somehow gave away to move on to the next round, man. How are you feeling after a very dramatic night for yourself?
Honestly, feeling pretty good. Didn't expect to actually make it to the round of 12 after the spin I had in the middle of the race and getting required repairs, but stuck with it and got some help, and we snuck on in.
Tell you what, Dakota, man, congrats on making your way onto the next round. I mean, we got Kansas and the Roval coming up. How do you feel about your opportunity heading into it?
Well, going into Kansas, feeling pretty good. Feel like it's going to be a lot like Vegas was when we went there, and we had a decent run. Just made a mistake at Vegas there that cost us there at the end. So going into Kansas, I'm feeling pretty good. As long as we can stay out of trouble, get a decent finish. It's the Roval I'm a little worried about. Road courses are not my strong suit, so I'm going to need to put in a lot of practice for that. But hopefully these 2 races we come away with some good finishes, and maybe we can get our way into the round of 8.
I mean, we're hoping for that for you to move on to the round of 8, Dakota. For tonight's race, with 40 laps to go, I know a lot of drivers were shuffling back and forth on where they were going to finish here tonight. You were around that 10th place position. When you saw the fact that, Ollie Fonseca and a couple of other top-tier drivers were having issues, at what point did you think, I just need to finish in this certain position and I'm moving on to the next round?
You stated it. Once I saw those guys starting to have some troubles, I was like, all right, let's just try to keep this truck underneath me here and just, do the best I can to bring it home with a decent finish, solid finish. And luckily we were able to do that. Came home 11th and moved on, thankfully.
It was an impressive run to watch, Dakota. And before we let you go, floor is now yours for any more shout-outs.
I just want to shout out to my teammates, Aaron Kralik and Jesse Thornock, for showing up every race and racing with me. And shout out to you guys for putting on professional broadcasts each and every week. Love that stuff. And shout out to the admins for putting this league on and keeping it going. I know how tough it is to run a league. So just shout out to those guys for keeping it going and powering through this season.
Well, that will be your 11th place finisher here tonight, but the last driver to move on to the round of 12, Dakota Moniz in the 5 machine. Congratulations, Dakota, and hopefully you'll be moving on to the round of 8.
Appreciate it, boys. Thank you.
As we move away from our interviews here tonight, crazy racing. The fireworks were going off for who was going to win tonight's race, and the fireworks were going off for who was going to take that final spot. And Dakota Moniz moves on with just a 4-point buffer. We'll do a complete rundown of our 16 playoff drivers and the way that they finished out here after we take a look at our unofficial results here tonight. Danny Cochran, fresh tires, gets it done for the 2 machine. Victory over Christopher Norris in the 38 in our 3rd attempt at overtime, breaking the record of most cautions as well. 3rd place goes to Cedric Hunter in the 7 machine. Jared Talmadge, one of 2 drivers that have no incident points here tonight. The 10 machine will finish 4th. Ethan Smith with a 5th place finish. The 00 of Thomas Green will take 6th. Mason Cassidy, the other driver to have no incident points here tonight, finishes 7th. 8th goes to Samuel Garcia. The 50 machine was a magnet for about 3/4 of the race and will finish with a top 10 finish. Cody Reed takes 9th, and Joshua Kanata, even with the late race incidences, the 16 will take a top 10 finish.
Man, oh man, looking through the rest of the order, Sam, it was a wild night with 21 cautions. And I mean, you look at someone like Aaron Kralik all the way back in that 20th position, that is going to be the spot. That position right there is going to be what knocks him out, allows Dakota Moniz to move through. And just a tough night there to finish 20th for Kralik. Also, Nicholas Crawford back there. He'll move on, though, finishing 21st, so good for him. But you see the drivers back in here, some of the drivers that had some of the most trouble all night.
A lot of trouble for these drivers. GT Irizarry will be missing out on moving to the next round. He also was a driver that already had stated he most likely wasn't going to be able to run some of those races in the round 12. So it was one of those things that kind of work out. And it's a weird race to be put into for the field, but with those unofficial results, the drivers that move on in the playoffs, we have Danny Cochran with his win here tonight, as well as Justin Campbell, both locked in. Based off of points, though, Vincent Sora is going to move on to be the 3rd driver, and 4th driver in is Cody Reed. Christopher Norris also will move on in the playoffs with Cedric Hunter, Jared Talmadge, Nick Crawford, Joshua Kanata, John Forbes going to be the 10 drivers that move on. The final 2 spots, we already know it's Dakota Moniz, but Ollie Fonseca scaving his way in by just 5 points over GT Irizarry. A crucial positioning difference between those drivers, but missing out with GT. Also Aaron Kralik, Mason Cassidy, and Joshua Freed. I think for Cassidy, he had a better finish last week. That 17 could have been a major factor to watch out for here tonight with the way he was running.
That it could have been for sure. I mean, it's just, very, very tough for, someone like a GT who, knew he wasn't going to probably make it down to the next round, but, you still want to do good and stuff and get the most points out of it. But the likes of Ollie Fonseca, he's going to come out here saying, I went for the win, and luckily it didn't come back to bite me because he definitely went for it. I mean, you can't fault the guy for going for a win and trying to make the move happen. I really can as a driver myself, but man, oh man, he definitely made it a little bit more close than probably he was hoping.
Yeah, it was a major deep breath and oh boy, we made it type of a moment once he saw those points. Obviously for us up in the booth, we had to wait for the official points to come out. It looked very close, and it certainly was. But for tonight, thanks for joining with us. As for myself, Sam Dyer, Zach Hall, and Rock Moyer Jr., it was great racing action here at Bristol. As our upcoming schedule for the rest of the week, we will be having Tuesday and Wednesday off, as BRB and WSSR are both off for this week. Next week, though, don't want to miss it on Wednesday night. WSSR back in racing action as they get prepared for a new season with a new car starting at a different track, Atlanta Superspeedway. It'll be the starting race. Don't want to miss that next week. But then this week on Thursday, the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. You want a preview of Kansas for the trucks next week? Well, we got you covered. Kansas with the next-gen Cup cars. Open setup. Expecting a lot of pack racing this upcoming Thursday. And who's got the better setup? You'll have to wait and see. Zach, I think Thursday's going to be a fun race to watch. But next week, the drama ramps back up. A new round begins.
That does. The new round for ISRC, it's going to be so fun to watch. I love Kansas. One of the best mile-and-a-half tracks we have on the service here at iRacing. And then, of course, the Roval to finish it off. I think that's the wild card race that you make one mistake in it, and it's super easy to do at that track. It's almost like a street circuit in the infield. It is gonna really play maybe tolls on possibly who is in and who's out. So I think a lot of drivers who made that next round, they're probably, knowing that Kansas could be a good one for them, but they're saying, I have to go to the Roval, I have to put the practice in and do good there because that will be the decider.
Could be a major decider for this field. An incredible race to finish out the round of 16. 12 drivers as hopes for a championship continue on here for season 6. Thank you again so much to everyone that joined with us here this evening on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else that works and helps out here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Thank you for joining with us on your Monday night. A fantastic finish, 3 attempts at overtime, and Danny Cochran is your victor in the 2 machine. Cannot wait for more racing action. A brand new round begins next week at Kansas. But if you want to get more racing action before then, don't miss out. Thursday night, another race to figure out who's going to be closer to grasping the championship for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. Don't want to miss it. Thursday night, the drivers head to Kansas in the next gens for our next Freaky Fast broadcast.